There he is, the coach with a lot of riz, Bret Bielema. It's his 4th season as the head coach of the Fighting Illini, and of course the adoring fans awaiting his entrance into the stadium. Luke Altmyer, his 2nd season with the Illini as the starting quarterback, and he'll be taking the field in tonight's season opener that is coming up here on the Big Ten Network. It is great to have you tuned in tonight for Eastern Illinois and Illinois, 2 campuses just over 45 miles apart. And they meet tonight here in Champaign as the 100th anniversary season of Memorial Stadium begins. With former Illini All-American Jay Lehman, I'm Mark Followell. So glad you're tuned in for tonight's action. We're almost ready for kickoff, but there's time to talk about this new Big Ten. Jay, 4 additions to the West Coast, USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. We're so excited about that. But Jay, where do the Fighting Illini fit into this new look Big Ten?
Yeah, it's bigger, it's better, it's coast to coast. But for the Illini to win in this new 18-team Big Ten, they've got to be great in the trenches. Lots of things can change in conference alignment, but winning football games always begins with being physical up front, something they need to improve on.
Well, if you're good in the trenches, then can you put your offensive skill positions in a position to be successful? Luke Altmyer, his 2nd season as the starting quarterback, and Zachary Franklin at wide receiver.
They've got weapons all over the place. Zachary Franklin is a stud, a transfer from Auburn, and of course Luke Altmyer, a bona fide starting quarterback for the Fighting Illini who can do it with his arm and legs.
Illinois will receive. It is Julian Patino on the field for Eastern Illinois, ready to kick off. And it is time. College football is so back as it's Eastern Illinois and Illinois meeting for the 3rd time ever and the 1st time since 2008. Great to have you tuned in for tonight's action. Thursday night game here on the campus in Champaign. Eastern Illinois out of the Big South Ohio Valley Conference Football Association. Kanari Wilshire is back deep to receive. He won't get a chance to run this back. And let's go down to the field now to our reporter on the sideline, Kylan Mills. Kylan.
Hey guys, this Illini coaching staff is really excited about the backfield depth this season. Starting tonight is redshirt sophomore Aiden Lawfrey. He only had 16 carries last season, but head coach Bret Bielema tells me he's the most improved player on this roster. Lawfrey brings the explosiveness, that shiftiness to the field. Then you also add to the mix sophomore Caden Fagan, who ran for more than 400 yards in his freshman campaign. He's that power back who can drive it up the middle. Redshirt junior Josh McCray, healthy after dealing with injury last season. The players tell me McCray brings a veteran presence to the locker room. These backs are confident that mix of complementary skill sets will really elevate the run game you see tonight.
And the run game starts with Lawfrey after the touchback on the first carry of the game, out near the 35-yard line. Brought down by Anthony Shockey, who is playing tonight at linebacker for Eastern Illinois.
Straight up the middle, inside zone play. Someone didn't see a lot from Lawfrey last season, going between the tackles and showed his power, a ripped up 205.
And officially 9 yards, just shy of the 1st down. So a 2nd down and short. That's an offensive coordinator's dream, but it's a check down throw. Lawfrey carried on the first play, a reception on the 2nd play, and a 1st down for the Illini.
And there's the trigger man, the slinger from Starkville, Luke Altmyer, 65% completion percentage last season. Needs to clean up the turnovers and be more consistent and quicker processing the play when he's in the pocket.
Quite simply, when we talked with offensive coordinator Barry Lunny Jr. yesterday, I want him to play and perform like a returning starter. That's what he's looked like throughout fall camp. But it's a steady diet of Lawfrey running and catching. This is just a 2-yard pickup on 1st down. The ball out to the 43-yard line. Jay, let's look at this Illini starting offense. We know the running back. We know the quarterback. And Aiden Lawfrey, part of a really talented group of skill players.
Yeah, Pat Bryant, a guy Illini fans are very familiar with. And then there's Zachary Franklin. He is a transfer out of Auburn, a stud. And J.C. Davis, another transfer out of Mexico, very high on J.C. Davis at the left tackle position for the veteran offensive line.
For the Lobos at the University of New Mexico, over 1,500 snaps in 2 seasons. For J.C. Davis, he's the left tackle. Lawfrey runs to the right side. And after giving up 9 yards on the first play of the game, the Panther defense has stiffened. And it's been 2 2-yard pickups so far here on these last 2 snaps for Aiden Lawfrey. And that defense that I'm talking about for the Panthers, here are the starters.
Yeah, Trajan Lewis was in there on that play. He's a defensive tackle that will be very disruptive. Elijah Watolbert, a guy that can make it happen in the middle of the back end. Mark Aitken is a veteran, the guy that's coming back off of the secondary that had 2 All-Americans graduate.
3 years at Eastern Illinois, 1 year at Northern Illinois for Mark Aitken. That's a transfer, Moses Alexander from the University of Houston. He was the closest defender on an incomplete pass for Zachary Franklin. And after picking up 1 first down thanks to the legs and hands of Lawfrey, the drive fizzles out after that 1 first down. And it's time for Hugh Robertson, the 31-year-old from Melbourne, Australia, the 3rd oldest player in college football to punt.
Yeah, and Altmaier wants that ball back, right? Altmaier was trying to lead Franklin to the sticks and overshot him just a bit out of the reach of Zachary Franklin.
Just over 2 minutes played here in the opening quarter of game number 1 of the season for Illinois. Thursday night action at Memorial Stadium. Punting to Cooper Willman. And Willman with the fair catch at the 17-yard line. Eastern Illinois on offense against Gabe Ackus. And the Illini defense coming up next. Illinois' opening drive after 1 first down ends in a punt. And Eastern Illinois, the Panthers, take over inside their own 20-yard line. Chris Wilkerson heads into his 3rd season as Eastern Illinois' head coach. 8-3 last year. They had only won 8 games in the previous 5 seasons combined. That's why he was the Big South Ohio Valley Football Association Coach of the Year last year. Pierce Holly is the quarterback, an outstanding quarterback. They're running the ball, and they're not running it well. Matthew Bailey takes care of M.J. Flowers. There's also a marker down on the first snap of the game for the Eastern Illinois offense. Here's Rod Sawgrass.
Lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty, first down.
It looked like it was number 17, Gabe Ackus, lined up in the neutral zone. I was reading some lips. There was a little trouble with the microphone of the umpire. Excuse me, the official. Matthew Bailey makes a play. It wasn't on Bailey. It was on Gabe Ackus. Gabe negates the great play by Matthew Bailey, which that's a sight for sore eyes for Illini fans who've been waiting a long time to see Matthew Bailey play.
And only 1 game last year for the sophomore from Moline, Illinois. Key part of the secondary along with Miles Scott as the other safety. Here's Holly throwing, and he drills it into the ground between 2 receivers. Pierce Holly, the starting quarterback from Arvada, Colorado. Certainly expect to see him throw the football better than we did on his first passing attempt of the night.
He can do a little bit of everything, not just throw the football, but he can run the football. He's a tough leader, right? He took every snap for the Panthers last year. I mean, every snap. Him in the center, Drew Wilder, as Coach Wilkerson looks on as trigger man.
Last year, or at Georgetown rather, Holly threw for over 4,100 yards, over 2,700 yards last year in his first season with Eastern Illinois. And as you look at the rest of their offense, he does. Pierce Holly has a lot of the similar weapons around him on offense.
Yeah, one of his favorite weapons is Eli Mirza, his receiver. You'll see a lot of him, number 7. He's a guy that can really make moves in space and gets yards after the catch. And then up front, Drew Wilder, we mentioned him. He was a guy that started every snap with Pierce Holly last season, never came off the field. He's the leader.
His dad is Bobby Wilder, head coach at Tennessee Tech, formerly a dozen years at Old Dominion. Holly throwing, there's the aforementioned Mirza. Ball came out, Mirza back on top of it. The ruling on the field appears to be completed pass. Ball fumbled and then recovered right at the first down marker at the 27-yard line.
So this is a man-beater coverage right here. Xavier Scott's in a man coverage on the quick out here from Mirza and makes a play. Watch Mirza stretch the ball. Looks like the ground caused the fumble here. Just a little whip route inside. They try to pick off Xavier Scott. It's a good job getting underneath the pick and making the play. Still a first down for the Panthers.
Yeah, I think that completes all 3 components of a catch, including a move comment of the game at the end. And it's a first down for Eastern Illinois, and it's a long pass for Cooper Willman. Willman, the intended receiver down the left-hand side, covered by the transfer from Ohio, Torrey Cox Jr. He isn't a starter on the Illini defense, and we can see those starters right now, Jay.
This is where it comes in up front. Dennis Briggs Jr., a transfer out of Florida State. Very excited about Briggs as he fills the role of Johnny Newton leaving last year. Dylan Rosiak, by far the most productive linebacker last year. Then Miles Scott, the other safety, opposite of Matthew Bailey.
Yeah, last year, Rosiak had 82 tackles, but this time it's Matthew Bailey making a tackle on a run by MJ Flowers and a run for a first down.
Yeah, and a little tempo here from the Panthers as Flowers was able to find a seam up on the right side of that offensive line for the Panthers. Great push right there.
And part of that push, not only the offensive line, but add in tight end Anthony Manavas as well. MJ Flowers was the runner-up for the Jerry Rice Award, which goes to the best freshman in FCS. He ran for over 850 yards last year. He goes out. Jay Pearson is in. This is another back that the staff at Eastern Illinois really likes. Jay, he's got the ability to do something in the open field. He caught the pass and he's bumped out after a gain of 7. Jay Pearson.
Watch the blocking by the receivers in Manavas 11 here that lead the way on the screen. You got Mirza locked up, and you'll see, watch Mirza, number 7, he seals a block. You'll see number 6 and 11, Manavas right there getting the block on Torrey Cox. That's the key to any kind of screen game. Can you block downfield with your receivers? Excellent job by the Panthers.
60 Arius Smith, as you noted, Jay, part of plowing the road for Pearson. And now to the other side of the field, the rollout, and the pass is complete. Mirza's got it, and Mirza's out of bounds into field goal range. Big pickup inside the Illini 30-yard line.
I like this call by offensive coordinator Kyle Derrickson. They're in man coverage. They're going to run the wheel route. They just ran the out route on Xavier Scott. Now they're going to have Mirza run the out and up, and they saw Xavier Scott jump on it. Big play Panthers, and they're in business on the 28 going in.
That is a 27-yard pass play to Eli Mirza, who caught 61 passes last year, just over 720 yards. He was an all-conference selection. Now Jay Pearson bumps out of one tackle inside the 25, loose football, and Illinois that want to create more turnovers this year, and they do. It's a fumble recovery for Seth Coleman. Seth Coleman is recovered, and with just over 5 minutes gone by in the game, and Eastern Illinois driving, the Illini defense makes a big play.
Just what the doctor ordered. The Illini defense reeling on this drive after a big play. You'll see Rosiak misses the tackle, but then the ball pops out. Looks like someone got their hand on the football, and Seth Coleman with the recovery. It's going to be 1st and 10 the other way, Illini.
Well, in the season opener last year, Miles Scott turned the game around against Toledo with the pick 6, and he makes his presence felt with a forced fumble tonight on the first Eastern Illinois series.
Yeah, pokes the ball up with his left hand as the back was going down. That's when the back relaxes and Seth Coleman up to clean it up.
Jay Pearson fumbles. Seth Coleman with the recovery. Caden Fagan at running back. The pass is complete. Altmaier to Zachary Franklin. The first of many catches we expect for him at the University of Illinois.
Yeah, second target, first catch for Franklin. That looked easy, right? 10-yard hitch, slung out there by Altmaier on a rope into the boundary. Good looking play.
He had 266 catches between his time at UTSA and Ole Miss. And now big Caden Fagan, and there's a lot of contact there at the line of scrimmage. He surges forward, though, and picked up 3 to the 38-yard line. Tonight's Impact Players are sponsored by Auto Owners Insurance, simple, human sense. And Zachary Franklin, one of those Impact players, Jay.
You mentioned the most productive wide receiver actively in college football right now. Seth Coleman, we saw him already make an impact with a fumble recovery. MJ Flowers has a lot of wiggle in the hole, and Trajan Lewis disrupted that first drive against the Illini offense. These are the players that will make the biggest impact tonight.
Trajan Lewis was a walk-on at Texas Tech and played there for 2 years, 14 games. Now in his 3rd season with the Eastern Illinois Panthers. That's a run for Fagan and a tackle made by Eastern Illinois.
Yeah, Martin Aitken came down and made that play, it looked like. And physical at the point of attack. Lots of safeties make business decisions when it comes to Caden Fagan. You know, I don't know if I want to hit this guy. Not Aitken. He came down and laid the lumber on Caden Fagan, all 250 pounds. That's a specimen right there, Caden Fagan out of Atwood, Illinois, about 35 miles from Champaign.
438 yards on the ground for Caden Fagan last year. Also had 1 receiving touchdown to go with 2 rushing touchdowns. And here's a slant, and Pat Bryant pays the price, caught the ball, held onto it, got drilled by Nick Coates and Nyjay Burt, but it's a first down for Illinois.
Pat Bryant, one of the toughest guys on the team, right? Watch the eyes here. Watch him. He knows exactly where he's going, and it's on target. And see how he threw just a little bit behind him to kind of save him from a big hit.
Well, they throw it again to Pat Bryant, and he's not saved from a tackle for loss in that case, as he was immediately hit by Jay Burt, who was in on the previous play.
Yeah, Jay Burt is a guy they really like, a guy that is tough on that corner, along with Nick Coates and Moses Alexander, kind of a corner by committee. And Altmaier's starting to look sharper and sharper, 4 for 5 for 27 yards.
Burt had 3 interceptions for Eastern Illinois last year. That may not officially be a TFL. It's no gain on the play. And now a turn and toss. And there's room to run for Caden Fagan. A lot of room to run, and then upended near the 20-yard line. Out of bounds after the big pickup. Caden Fagan showing off speed and power, and it certainly helped you hit a big hole to run through as well.
Yeah, tempo, get bunch formation into the boundary. A quick pitch. They were misaligned here, and watch the angles they have blocking. Henry Boyer, 8'8", throws a good block, and watch the acceleration for the big man. That man is 6'4", 250 pounds. He is a load when he gets going downhill. You can see Melvin Priestley out there as well, making blocks along with Colin Dixon. Great blocking downfield. That's what springs bigger runs.
Colin Dixon, redshirt freshman, starting at wide receiver tonight out of Talmadge, Ohio. And a big block. Now Fagan running inside and into the red zone from the 22 down to the 18-yard line with 6 minutes left in the first quarter. Caden Fagan, look at that size. 6'3", 250 amongst Big Ten running backs, the heftiest and the second tallest.
A guy that was recruited all over the Big Ten, you name it, Michigan, Notre Dame wanted him. A lot of programs tried to get him, and Brett Bielema made sure he stayed home for the Illini.
And now 235-pound Josh McCray from Enterprise, Alabama. He's in the game. And it's a pass on the right side, and it's a catch by Kanari Wilcher. Wilcher had 4 receptions last year, taken down to the open field. But after a first down pickup, the tackle was made by Kalen Drakeford.
Really like that play design by Barry Lunny Jr. Test the eye discipline of that Panther defense. They all dove down on the dive play, and Wilcher open streaking across to get the first down. Easy pitch and catch for Luke Altmaier, who's now 5 of 6 for 34 yards.
Brett Bielema raved about his running back room, and it's not just the first 3 guys. Also Jordan Anderson, who was out due to injury last year, hasn't taken a snap, has a chance to take one right now. He's one of the 2 backs. Now they've moved Pat Bryant into the backfield, and a marker is down here, Jay, pre-snap.
On start, offense, number 73, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Second penalty of the game against the Illini.
Looks like it's on Josh Getsky here. You can see he has a little jolt right there and jumps on the hard count. Getsky, one of the most improved offensive linemen, according to Coach Bielema, out of Manteno, Illinois. Kind of a mauler inside that Brett Bielema loves to develop in the interior of his offensive lines.
Made 8 starts last year, and the opening night starter. Here's the fade to the end zone, and it's Franklin and Alexander going after it, and dealt with it for the touchdown! Oh, they're going to say it's out of bounds.
This is what Illinois fans were hoping to see, right? Altmaier to Franklin, and they say he juggles this ball as he's going out of bounds, but they'll take a longer look at it. Let's take a second look. He goes up over the top. That's called mossing someone, and he doesn't have quite the control there, and his foot's out of bounds. I think that's the right call. You saw his right toe out of bounds while he loses control of that football.
Well, they're not real happy about it here in Champaign. You hear the boos. But, Jay, I would concur with your assessment regarding the accuracy of the call.
Of an incomplete pass. The play's under further review.
We're having trouble hearing what the official is saying, but it looks like they're going to take a longer look. This is a challenge by Brett Bielema.
They'll challenge the call on the field, which is incomplete pass. And we're looking at it here. And they're looking at it now in the new state-of-the-art Big Ten Conference Replay Center in Rosemont. Centralized decision-making for instant replay in the Big Ten. Outstanding technology. And this is the first time that they're in communication tonight with the on-field referee here, Ron Snodgrass, about this particular play. Touchdown or no, catch or no. There's a look in at the beautiful new replay center for the Big Ten in Rosemont, Illinois.
Tons of TVs. That's a good place to watch a game, right? But as I look at this
a lot of responsibility, though.
Yeah, it is. Now, my question is this. His 2 feet are down, and it looks like he has some control for a moment, at least in slow motion, okay? Watch, he looks like he has some control here, and 2 feet are down. Then the ball gets ripped out. I don't know if he's completed the catch there, and then it looks like his right foot does step on the white to be out of bounds. So this is one that will be interesting to see. And you see a shake of the head from Brett Bielema.
Stands, incomplete pass. Illinois is charged for first time out. May not the remainder of the game. Second down.
Well, to your point a moment ago, Jay, we're having difficulty hearing the referee,
right.
But I believe that obviously you could tell that the call stands.
Right. And so does he come down with 2 feet and looks like he has control? I think if he keeps the ball where it is right now without it coming out, that's a touchdown. But you see the ball then, he loses control and pins it against his left leg right there. And I think that's where it becomes incomplete because his foot's out of bounds.
And, of course, remember the 3 components of completing a catch. You've got to have a body part down. You've got to have control of the ball, and then you've got to either survive the ground or make a move common to the game, and he didn't survive the ground. I think in the end, that's where the decision is made. Now here's Altmaier. Fakes the handoff, throws. This will be a touchdown, Pat Bryant. They had to wait a play, but now they savor the flavor of the end zone for the first time this year. Pat Bryant catches the touchdown pass of Luke Altmaier.
I love that they get Altmaier outside of the pocket, sprinting to his right. Watch when he throws the football behind Bryant so that it's away from the Eastern Illinois defender and pulls Bryant off of his post route back into where there's open area in that end zone. Easy pitch and catch.
Now handling place-taking duties this year is David Olano and Caleb Griffin in his outstanding season he had last year. Pat Bryant, speaking of outstanding seasons, he had one last year and all throughout his career at Illinois. That's his 10th receiving touchdown, and it gives the Illini the lead.
Welcome back inside of Memorial Stadium. It's the Illini with a 1-score lead. Quarterback Luke Altmaier throwing his first touchdown pass of the season. Altmaier says the biggest area of improvement for him this season is a new mindset. Altmaier was frustrated by his inconsistent play last year, throwing 10 interceptions, being sacked 34 times. He says he realized it wasn't his physical ability that was the problem, but his mental approach. Altmaier was just afraid of making mistakes. He started working with the football program's life coach, Jason Epperson, who's also a pastor at nearby Champaign-Urbana Church. Altmaier says Epperson helped him use his strong faith to play more free. Altmaier views football as a way to celebrate God's gifts. He believes that mental shift will unlock a new level in his game this season, guys.
Kickoff by Ethan Machowski. He'll handle kickoffs, transfer from Texas A&M, and he banged it down to the 1-yard line. There is a marker down. It's a bad return. It's great kick coverage, and there's a lot to be sorted out here after the kickoff by Ethan Machowski. How about that first moment for him wearing a Fighting Illini uniform?
Great tackle by Vernon Woodward. Just made
On
it.
the return, holding. Receiving team, number 49. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
Well, you don't want a bad return, and hold on, said bad return, Jay.
Yeah, this is what you don't want to do as a return. You watch 49 here. He's going to hold, right? He gets trucked, and he holds, kind of tackles and slings down. But look at the play here by Woodward as he strings it out but keeps the contain, attacks that near hip, and then goes for the ankle. Great tackle in space by Woodward.
Now backup linebacker Jesse Garza with the penalty. And Mark Aitken didn't have anywhere to go anyway on that return. The penalty moves them back to the 5-yard line. And Pierce Holly in Eastern Illinois moved the football until the fumble by Jay Pearson on the last drive.
Sure, they're backed up, not where you want to be. Let's see what Holly has in his bag of tricks.
Got motion here by Mirza, and they're going on the jet sweep. And it's Mirza. Lowers his pads and has the 8-yard line. Pickup of 3. Saturday, Big Ten Tailgate is live from Purdue's campus to set the scene for a full day of football. The fun begins at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific, only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Mirza gained 3 yards.
You see the hard count there from Holly trying to pick up a cheap 5 to give him a little more space to operate. T.Rod Edwards, Dennis Briggs, and Akis. No jump from them.
And you see off the edge, Seth Coleman and Alec Bryant. A run by M.J. Flowers and a run that goes nowhere. Well read by Seth Coleman, Matthew Bailey, and the remainder of the Fighting Illini defense.
I love Matthew Bailey. He reminds me right now of how Sidney Brown played 2 years ago. Same position. Watch him read here. See how he stays square? And then how he uses his feet and keeps his legs running and help finish off there by Seth Coleman. Great fundamental, staying square in the hole so he's able to cut back with that running back and make the tackle in space. Playing that position like Sidney Brown played it 2 years ago.
Second-year defensive coordinator Aaron Henry in our chat yesterday called him a calming piece for the defense. And a throw and an incompletion. Torrey Cox Jr. on the coverage. The pass was intended for Mirza. And with poor field position, the Eastern Illinois offense sputters to a 3-and-out.
Well, they told us Cox Jr. would play. He's the Ohio transfer, son of a former NFL player. He's gotten time early, plays bigger than his 5'8" stature.
The punt here by Jacob Horvath. Mac Rosetich is back deep to receive. Nick Beatty and Mac Rosetich are candidates to return punts. And it's Rosetich with the first opportunity. And that had a little bit more giddy up to it than I thought it would on that line drive. But speaking of giddy up, Mac Rosetich has got some! Oh, down he goes. The punter, Horvath, tackled him in the open field at the 25-yard line. Nice return of a very returnable kick.
From Spring Valley Hall, he could do it all, Mac Rosetich. He can even return punts. A basketball star, a football star, a baseball star, and a punt return star. We'll be right back.
Football on the Big Ten Network is sponsored by White Claw. And on this Thursday evening, you know, there was the big heat wave here earlier in the week, but the temps were way better today. It was tailgating weather here on August the 29th outside of Memorial Stadium.
They were loving it. That's actually Pat Rouse, former Illinois long snapper for the 2001 Sugar Bowl team, making some burgers on the grill.
Pat Bryant, you saw his numbers from last year flash up on the screen. He capped the last Illinois drive with a 15-yard touchdown catch. It was a 77-yard drive that started when Seth Coleman recovered an Eastern Illinois fumble. This was a long punt return by Mac Rosetich that puts the Illini at the 25, and it's a run of 5 by Josh McCray.
And you see a little tempo here, right? They want more points on the board, and look for Franklin and Bryan in the pass game taking shots at the 20-yard line here.
Henry Boyer right now is the tight end. Altmaier's got a ton of time, slings it for the sideline, and it's Zachary Franklin. He's caught it inside the 5.
You want to go to a clinic on route running? Watch this by Zachary Franklin. Not just the double move, the triple move on the post corner route. Here, watch him. He fakes the slant and then comes back outside and goes up and gets that ball and gets not one, looks like almost 2 feet in for the completed catch. They're in business inside the 5-yard line for the Illini.
Seamless transition for Zachary Franklin into the Illini offense. That's what Barry Lunny Jr., the offensive coordinator, told us yesterday. Yeah, there's some different terminology and signals from the time that Lunny and Franklin were together at UTSA, but that was one of the selling points to take that off his plate. His first and goal play from the 4. Big push by the defensive line. McCray is stopped by Nicholas Oliveira Chase, among others.
Look at the hands, 1 foot down. That's not good at the NFL. He kind of drops at the end, but it looked like he completed the catch on that one, unlike the football, the catch prior on the drive for the touchdown. That was, well, not the touchdown, but that was ruled that he did not actually complete the catch in the end zone.
McCray, no, they won't go to him. Instead, it is a wide open Tanner Arkin. He caught one pass last year for a touchdown, and his first catch of this year is a touchdown. From Fort Collins, Colorado. He wasn't liking that 109-degree heat index earlier this week, Jay, but he's liking Thursday night at Memorial Stadium. Arkin is on the board, and the Illini now have a 2-touchdown lead.
Watch Arkin chip here, and that makes the linebacker look away who has man coverage. He turns out on a quick boot route and just dumps off for the touchdown.
David Awano with the extra point. Final minute of the first quarter. Illini up by 14. We're back in 30 seconds. The touchdown that extends the Illini lead was caught by Tanner Arkin. Barry Leonard Jr. told us yesterday that Arkin has the ability to be a good player at this level. Not a primary target, but will catch his fair share in play action and checkdowns.
Did you see how he blocks down? That makes the linebacker take their eyes off him and go for the play action, and he's wide open in the flat. And you mentioned it, 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. He's got a pretty good ratio there for Tanner Arkin, the red zone specialist. I don't know if we'll go that far yet, but Barry Lunny mixing up to all kinds of different weapons for the Illini.
Arkin caught 15 passes in the 2 years that he played at Colorado State before transferring to Illinois ahead of the 2023 season. A 1-yard touchdown for his only grab last year in a game against Wisconsin. Man, that is a big leg by Ethan Machowski. His last kick was down to the 1, but that's to the back of the end zone. Experience the expanded Big Ten Conference like never before with Big Ten Plus. You can stream thousands of non-televised live events all across the Big Ten. Plus, enjoy next-day game replays for every Big Ten game. Subscribe right now at BigTenPlus.com. We have 43 seconds left in the first quarter. You know, the last thing Chris Wilkerson told us when we hung up from the call with him on Zoom Monday morning, cannot beat ourselves. Our team is built, Eastern Illinois, on taking care of the football. Last year they were a plus 15.
Right.
They forced 25 turnovers. They only committed 10. What shot the wheels off their first quarter? A fumble. And they're driving for a score with the ball inside the 25-yard line. They fumble the ball, Jay, and next thing you know, now they're down 14-0.
The great equalizer in college football is turnovers, and college football is a game of momentum. Chris Wilkerson knows that. Momentum shifted on that play from Eastern to Illinois, and the quick strike offense from Illinois capitalized.
Yeah, one of the best in FCS, both in forcing turnovers and in terms of committing the fewest. But a turnover in the first quarter really leads to a bit of an unraveling for Eastern Illinois. There's still time for them to steady the ship, but the ship steadying will have to wait until the second quarter, because it's time to go to the other end. 2nd down and 8 will be the play coming up to start the second quarter for Eastern Illinois. The Illini, meanwhile, score on passes to Pat Bryant and Tanner Arkin. They're up 14-0. There are plenty of connections between Illinois and Eastern Illinois. They're 46, 47 miles apart, depending on Google or Apple Maps, what you look at. And here's an interesting connection between Illinois and Eastern Illinois. Look at these guys. Jay Lehman on the right, All-American in Illinois. Corey Lehman on the left, playing for Eastern Illinois.
I taught the guy on the left everything he knows. Now, he did play tailback. He was a lot cooler at a single digit. I got stuck with 47. He's a better athlete. Good player for Eastern Illinois.
And good player for Illinois, making an interception inside the 40-yard line. Miles Scott, his fingerprints are all over this game tonight. Forced fumble in the first quarter, interception on the first play of the second quarter.
Talk about playing center field. Miles Scott reads this like a book. as Pierce Holly threw it up for the deep post. Eli Mirza's down on the field a little bit. But watch this, they go the deep post on Matthew Bailey, and watch Miles Scott bail out Bailey, just what a free safety can do here. Watch him come off his route here, and Mirza's gonna collide with the fellow receiver. Miles Scott, what a great read to come off.
Timeout on the field.
There is a timeout on the field. Miles Scott, the interception. Eli Mirza down right now for Eastern Illinois.
Watch Miles Smith here just bait quarterback Pierce Holly into throwing the football in the middle of the field. You're watch Miles Scott, rather, up top there on #1 receiver at the top of your screen, but watch how he looks over and gets back to the middle of the field. Holly thinks that Matthew Bailey's been beat. He has no idea that Miles Scott can get back to the center of the field like he does. Great recognition by Miles Scott to get back to the center of the field to bail out Matthew Bailey on the coverage.
And so after the interception, Caden Fagan runs on first down, and great balance. Uses his hand to stay on his feet, and then accelerates into Eastern Illinois territory down to the 39-yard line. A run of 22.
Look at the balance here from the big man and the blocking up front behind Geske, Zy Chrysler. Melvin Priestley gets a block, and you can see puts his hand down on the ground and keeps his feet moving. The second big run of the night for Caden Fagan.
And Jordan Anderson, who's getting some snaps in the backfield. He hasn't run the ball yet, but he threw another nice block. And he's in blitz pickup here, and it's a scramble now by Altmyer. He does pass the line of scrimmage, and he runs away from one tackle by Nick Coates, and then is out of bounds. Certainly saw it last year. Altmyer has the ability to scramble and move his feet, and he's down to the 30-yard line.
Running back Caden Fagan, one area he really wanted to improve on this season was escaping the tackle to break through for bigger gains. One way he worked on that in the offseason was his conditioning. Fagan said he dialed back on fast food in the offseason. He usually likes to eat out several times a week. He cut back to 1 time a week. Fagan also has been cooking a lot of chicken and broccoli, and he says he's noticed a huge difference. He's very light on his feet this year.
Yeah, and the balance was excellent on that run a moment ago. He gets hit hard, though, on 2nd down and 1. Did not pick up the first down. The ball will stay at the 30-yard line. Today's hardest working player, sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need. And Caden Fagan only stopped behind the line of scrimmage 2 times in 95 rushing attempts last year. Wow.
Not a lot of tackles for loss against that man. Was stymied on that last run, but you can just see the power and explosiveness that he has. New diet and all, Caden Fagan ready to make moves.
Going with two tight ends here, and McCray is the only back, and it's just a big push by an offensive line that Brett Bielema raved about in our discussion with him yesterday. That push easily leads to a pickup of the first down.
Yeah, right behind the big center, Josh Kreutz, a guy banged up for much of training camp. Of course, the son of Bears great, former Pro Bowler Olin Kreutz. Great to have him healthy for the season opener. He had his green jersey on, which means he couldn't practice with the team in full contact. He was ready to burn that green jersey, though, by the time they finally let it off him.
Yeah, and we got some tempo here, rushing up to the line. And now Altmyer with a check down pass. Aiden Lawfrey. Oh, that's a good open field tackle by Elijah with Tolbert. The all-conference linebacker last year who transferred and came back to Eastern Illinois and tackles Lawfrey in the open field.
Now we were talking to defensive coordinator, Coach Colin Geyer, and he said, hey, you got to earn your spot back if you transfer back. They've made Elijah Tolbert earn it back. Even though he was all-conference last year, he had to earn his spot back making plays tonight against the Illini.
Went to Missouri State and then went back into the portal after spring ball. And here's a run and a lot of room to run for Aiden Lawfrey. Lawfrey started tonight at running back, and this is one of his most impactful plays in the game. He's inside the 10 for a 1st and goal. Caden Fagan helped plow the road. You got to love with one running back is doing that for the other.
This is a great call by Barry Lunny. He makes the defense play sideline to sideline. You can see the elite track speed from Aiden Lawfrey, a track star at Gibson City High School near Champaign, and you can see the speed to get to the corner and the ability to finish the run. With Caden Fagan and Aiden Laughery on the field, you've got multiple weapons that can attack you, and tempo again for the Illini.
That run was for 18 yards. And now a whistle, and play has been stopped because Eastern Illinois wants a timeout. First timeout taken in tonight's game by the Panthers, with Illinois in a 1st and goal when we return. Just 4 minutes gone by in the second quarter. Saturday, it's a huge slate of action on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. How about a 6-game quadruple header featuring the Big Ten debuts for Oregon and Washington? How exciting is that? Go to btn.com/gamefinder for channel locations in your area. Our crack research staff, look at this. Aiden Laughery, you said he was a track star at Gibson City.
10.58, and the 40-yard conversion, how that's done, a 4.41.
Well, he has now carried it 5 times tonight with this run. He started the game. Caden Fagan has had 6 carries. Laughery now 5 carries. Illinois' run for 110 yards in the first 20 minutes of the game.
Thunder and lightning, although at times, Caden Fagan has a little bit of lightning in him, right? Just bigger than Laughery, but Laughery definitely has that elite top-end speed.
Throw in Josh McCray with a couple of carries. Luke Altmaier has had 1 scramble and 1 design quarterback sneak to convert a 3rd down. Here he is looking for his 3rd touchdown pass over Henry Boyer, incomplete. Bringing up 3rd down and goal just outside the 8-yard line.
Now that was the first throw I thought Luke Altmaier forced. He threw that into triple coverage to Henry Boyer. And lucky that he overshot him and threw it where only Boyer could catch it, so a smart play by Altmaier there. And, you know, on 3rd down and goal, you got to look for number 4. Sometimes they'll line him up as the inside receiver in the slot right now and motion him for a favorable matchup.
Yeah, that's Zachary Franklin. He was the slot on the right. They motioned him to the left. Altmaier has looked that way, throws back in the end zone, and the closest player to it was Anthony Shockey. Shockey, who was a huge question mark as to whether or not he would even play before the game. I would say he was probably more doubtful based on what we were told, but he's out there and had the ball go right through his hands.
Yeah, that's why he's playing linebacker, but this was a stick and go right here. The stick and go, basically he pumps it and he knows he forced that one in there. Last 2 throws he threw in there, looked hobbled a little bit on his right leg
there?
When he threw. You know, he looked a little hobbled on the 1 run that he had. I don't know if that was an issue from that, but looked like he grabbed his right leg.
The field goal here for David Milano is good from 26 yards. That's 10 points in the game tonight off turnovers for Illinois. Remember, this drive started when Miles Scott intercepted, and then the drive stalls at the 9. Here's Altmaier, the incomplete pass, but more importantly, grabbing, is it his right calf?
Yeah, hopefully that's just a cramp. You know, he's cramping up a little bit on the calf. The calf is where you would cramp up on a hot night, not to speculate at all, but hopefully it's nothing serious. He's off to such a great start, such high expectations for Luke Altmaier. Look very sharp other than those last 2 throws.
Donovan Leary is the backup quarterback, but that's not something to probably delve into a lot as of yet. But we'll see how things transpire with Altmaier while he's on the sideline, while the defense is on the field. And Miles Scott's interception, again, is what set all of that up, Jay. I thought, look, I loved our conversation with everyone yesterday, with Coach B, with Aaron Henry, the defensive coordinator, Barry Lundy Jr. on the offensive side of the ball. And one of the most interesting things yesterday was to talk to Aaron Henry and the love that man has for Miles Scott, who's a converted wide receiver. He was a wideout in 2022. Right. He says he looks like he's been playing secondary for 3 or 4 years. But because of his wide receiver experience, he's got a great feel for routes, and he had that interception.
Cerebral is the word, right? He's able to identify route combinations like we saw on the interception. The quarterback thought he would be into the boundary. He was able to make it back to the middle of the field for the interception. And a guy that keeps on showing up and making plays, especially turnovers tonight.
And his 2 turnovers, he's had a hand in it. Wow, big hit. Special teams and turnovers have been a real factor tonight in this game for Illinois. Luke Altmaier other than that last throw where he didn't look like everything was right with the right leg, has been on point tonight, Jay.
Yeah, especially when he gets outside of the pocket. We've seen 2 touchdown throws when he's gotten outside of the pocket, rolling to his right, first to Bryant, and here to Tanner Arkin. That's where he's really dangerous. He can run and he can pass, but throws very well on the move. Another thing we haven't talked a lot about when we look at, this is an interesting stat here, Luke Altmyer. The first Illinois QB to start an opener in consecutive years since 2019-2020, since Brandon Peters did it for Lovie Smith.
Only 4 incompletions in the game tonight, 9 of 13 for Altmyer. There's a big tackle by Gabe Ackus on that run for no gain on first down.
Quarterback Luke Altmyer just had a brief conversation with a member of the training staff here on the sideline after looking like he took to a knock to that right leg coming off that last possession. He kind of waved him off. It was very brief. He's now just going over some plays on the iPads with offensive coordinator Barry Lunney Jr. Altmyer appears to be just fine, just getting a quick sip here on the bench.
You know, you were talking about Josh Kreutz a moment ago. James Kreutz just involved in a play. The run game having difficulty here on these first 2 plays of the drive for Eastern Illinois. MJ Flowers, maybe 2. And there's the aforementioned James Kreutz who made the tackle.
They're excited about James Kreutz. He was banged up as well, but it was Gabe Ackus who really stuffed up the lead blockers to clean it up for Kreutz. Ackus so big. He's moved into the interior some from his outside linebacker position. He's playing defensive tackle along with Dennis Briggs. You got Coleman and Alec Bryant at your outside linebackers. This is quite the pass rush brigade right here.
Pectoral muscle injury limited James Kreutz in fall camp, but he was part of that play. This is 3rd and 8. It dropped. It's an incomplete pass. No doubt about that. Kreutz, by the way, did pounce on that loose football, but MJ Flowers obviously didn't make the catch. And it's 3 and out for the Panthers of Eastern Illinois.
Credit to Aaron Henry. The adjustments they've made after that first drive have really shut down everything that this Eastern Illinois offense, which can put up some points with Pierce Halley at the helm, have not been able to get anything, any kind of momentum, any kind of rhythm at all.
Jacob Horvath, the last time he punted, had to make a tackle because Mac Rusetich returned it all the way down to the Eastern Illinois 25-yard line. Hoping for some more hang time on this punt, and he got precisely that. Oh, and it's fumbled by Rusetich. He was calling for a fair catch. It appeared, and Illinois is back on top of it. Oh, big moment there on special teams by Luke Zartzen. Recovers the fumbled punt, and Illinois will start after a nervy moment with good field position. And I think it's important to remember that Illinois fared very well on the offensive side of the ball when you look at stats from last year. And their offense is taking advantage of turnovers, good field position, and special teams. And after 1 drive stopped after 4 plays and 20 yards, the next 3 drives they've gained 155 yards. They start at the 45. Pat Bryant in motion. And here's a catch. First time tonight that Hank Beatty's been involved in a pass game, and it does not come off as planned. It's a loss of a yard with Elijah Wood-Tolbert on the tackle for Eastern Illinois.
Tolbert very instinctive, was not fooled at all by the crisscross motion and the pulling guards behind him. Able to make a play in space on Beatty. You know, you get in this alumni zone in between the 40s, and this is where you see a lot of downfield shots sometimes. You got the speedster, Alexander Kapka-Jones, number 15. He'll be at the top of your screen. He's got some real wheels.
It'll be the wheels of Caden Fagan. Oh, and he's hit hard. Drake Van Hefty inside with the stop for Eastern Illinois. And that might be another TFL. Push it back another yard here on 3rd and long for the Illini.
And a rarity for a TFL against a guy like Caden Fagan, right? Only twice last year lost yardage, but Van Hefty with a big-time hit at the point of attack.
Okay, so right now you see the green dots on the back of quarterback Luke Altmyer's helmet. Here, 15 seconds on the play clock. That's when the communication shuts off. New part of college football this year.
It ceases.
But he was in communication with Barry Lunney Jr., the offensive coordinator. Miles Scott has the green dot on defense. Check down throw, Hank Beatty, 3rd and 12. Beatty caught the first down pass for a loss of a yard. The third down pass is a positive play, but just 4 yards.
And they'll bring out the punt
3,
team, as you talked about. This is a huge change, right? No more signaling from the sideline. You can get the play into your helmet audibly from the offensive coordinator or from the defensive coordinator. Miles Scott's the guy who gets it from Aaron Henry. Aaron Henry might be giving him some tips the way that Miles Scott's been playing, but Luke Altmaier hearing directly from Barry Lunney up till 15 seconds in the play clock, and then all communication is cut off.
The second punt of tonight's game for Hugh Robertson. Cooper Willman is back deep to receive. He lets that fly by, and it rolls into the end zone for a touchback. Illinois up 17-0. We're back in 15 seconds. Tomorrow, a new era of Big Ten volleyball begins when Oregon hosts Pitt in a top 10 showdown. Then Tuesday, 7th-ranked Penn State clashes with number 6 Louisville. Big Ten volleyball tomorrow and Tuesday only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. The Big Ten, a phenomenal volleyball conference and welcoming another great team in Oregon to Big Ten volleyball. A little bit more on that in a moment, but Eastern Illinois' Pierce Holly throws and an incompletion to the left side intended for Darius Smith. .624 left in the second quarter. Pat Bryant coming off the field after the last Illinois possession. Didn't look to be 100%.
Not at all, and that's not what Illinois fans want to see. You hope he's back out there. The most experienced guy they have as far as playing on this football team. Zachary Franklin has experience as well.
Bryant caught the first touchdown tonight for Illinois. This is Eastern Illinois' Jay Pearson, who fumbled earlier in the game. And he's up to the 24-yard line on that return. And a little more from Kylan Mills.
Something to keep an eye on, guys, is the heat down here on the field. Upper 70s right now in Champaign, but it feels a lot hotter down on the field due to humidity. Also, so many bodies here inside of Memorial Stadium. Keep an eye on players staying hydrated and possibly dealing with cramps as this game progresses because it's just so hot. I am sweating just walking up and down the sideline. I can only imagine being on the field.
And there's still a lot of game out in front of us here, just inside of 6 minutes to play in the second quarter. Pierce Holly. And dropped Eli Mirza. There's also a marker down on the far side of the field as Mirza dropped it in the vicinity of what would have been a first down at the 30, but now we've got to unsort what happened here with the marker. 5:33 to go in the second.
Offside. Defense number 9, 5-yard penalty, results in a first down.
Seth Coleman has recovered a fumble tonight, but a penalty by Coleman here keeps the drive alive for Eastern Illinois.
Well, that's close. At least right there, he doesn't. It looks like he might have gone. It's a little bit early, but man, that is close. Gabe Backus called the first call of the game offsides. Trying to take every inch that he could. Brett Bielema's having some discussion here with the official. That was a time they could have gotten off the field on third down. Good coverage by Xavier Scott. But it's a first down for the Panthers.
It is a 1st and 10 for Eastern Illinois. Last year, Illinois' third down defense was 44%. They were one of the best in the nation in 2022. Opponents only converted 30% of third downs. But a third down penalty for the Fighting Illini moves the sticks for Eastern Illinois. Jay Pearson waiting for something to open up. Nothing opens up, but he does run strong to at least get back to the line of scrimmage. Tira Edwards among a host of Illini defenders on that tackle.
Talk about winning at the point of attack. Tira Edwards won at the point of attack. See Barner right there. Joe Barner, the freshman outside linebacker, strong. And Alex Briggs in there, Alex Bragg, finishing off some people along with Matthew Bailey. Good defense up front.
And Aaron Henry was so excited yesterday about seeing Joe Barna, the freshman, get some snaps on defense tonight. Oh, and here's trouble. Pressure and interception. Torrey Cox Jr. Illinois blows up the attempted screen pass and the transfer from Ohio. Torrey Cox Jr. with the pick.
Boy, Torrey Cox, you talk about instincts right here. His ability to read and react to make this play out of his coverage. His feel on this is amazing. You'll see he's on coverage right here. And it's a good disguise right there. They think they're going to be in man-to-man. They're not in man-to-man. They're in zone. So he's reading the eyes of the quarterback here, and he's able to make a play on the football. And there's no chance for the running back to even make a play on the ball as Cox ran the route for him and made the play. Good disguise by Illinois. You can see Miles Scott shifted late. Holly thinks they're in one coverage, they're in another coverage. Cox able to read the eyes and get the turnover.
Here's Holly last year, 7 interceptions in 11 games, already 2 tonight. Josh McCray with the first play from scrimmage after the interception by Torrey Cox Jr. And it's a gain of a yard to the Eastern Illinois 28.
We knew that Cox Jr. would play some. He wasn't listed as a starter, but Bret Bielema said he will play. Has a swagger to him. He's really popped today for the Illini D.
23 starts in 2 years for the Bobcats of Ohio. 3 interceptions in those 2 seasons. Aaron Henry described his fall camp as electric. And here's a throw. Pat Bryant. He caught it! Pat Bryant with a touchdown! Incredible grab in the end zone along the sideline. 28 yards for the score. How did he get down in bounds?
Watch him high point the football, left foot down right there. Great catch by Pat Bryant, a guy who had footballs hit his hands too many times in the end zone that did not turn into touchdowns. Says, I got this play right here. Great ball by Altmyer, high and outside to his veteran receiver, Pat Bryant. Little play action. Great rainbow thrown in the bucket right there to Pat Bryant for the touchdown.
With Isaiah Williams and Casey Washington gone, Pat Bryant and Zachary Franklin, who comes in as a transfer, they're the lead dogs in the passing game now for Illinois. And Bryant has 2 touchdowns tonight. 24-0 lead. We're back in 30 seconds. Pat Bryant, 4 catches tonight, 2 of them touchdowns, 51 yards for the senior wide receiver from Jacksonville, Florida, who is headed towards 100 receptions in his Illinois career sometime early, middle part of the season. He's at 87 as we speak.
A legit big play receiver for the Illini, and this just looks clean. Look at him on the fade route here, just the go route, and you can see that ball is placed perfectly. And it doesn't happen without the protection, right? Look at the pocket by the tight ends and the offensive line right here. They protect, good protection by McCray. It lets Altmyer step up. I love what Barry Lundy Jr. said. We were talking about J.C. Davis. Is he a great player, good player? He's like, you know he's good? We never talk about him because the left tackle just takes care of the defensive end every time. If you don't hear about the offensive line, usually they're doing incredible because no news is usually good news for the offensive line.
To follow up a little more on J.C. Davis, he played in New Mexico, and Bret Bielema said, I watched probably 100 potential transfer portal options, and we'll get to more on that in a moment. But coming up at the half, we'll send it back to David Howard in our Chicago studios for the halftime report. They've got highlights of the Rutgers win over Howard. Minnesota and North Carolina got started late tonight due to weather. They'll have the latest going on, and of course, analysis of the first half, turnovers, special teams, and the Illini passing game. Obviously some big analysis points.
Yes, and we knew the offense would be good. We didn't know how sharp it would look with the addition of Zachary Franklin and this triple-headed monster at running back with Lawfery, Fagan, and McCray, but it's looked very, very good tonight.
Well, when the time allows, more to say about J.C. Davis, but The matter at hand is, whoa, Pierce Holly way overthrowing Darius Smith. Torrey Cox Jr. had an interception on the last pass attempt by Holly, and he was pressuring him then.
Holly is an accurate thrower. 60% of his balls, 61% incompleted last year. He's only 3 of 10 tonight. We've overthrow a couple guys. He threw one to Cox. He's threw one to Miles Scott. He threw one in the ground. So he hasn't been accurate when it comes to throwing the football, and all the offense goes through Holly for the Panthers.
Yeah, that was one of the real danger points that Brett Bielema noted yesterday of his concern about Eastern Illinois, about everything going through this excellent quarterback who takes a big hit but did complete the pass. Torrey Cox Jr. along with Alec Bryant on the tackle of MJ Flowers up to the 30-yard line.
So Henry dials up some pressure. You can see Rosiak with pressure right up the gut. Big hit there. And now watch Cox make a play in space. Again, Torrey Cox Jr. with some pad popping. They're hitting out there. You know, so many times you just don't get to hit full speed in football these days, right? But this for defense when it's game time, hey man, you get to take to the ground and hit as hard as you can.
And here's pressure forcing Pierce Holly out of the pocket. And that's a nice tackle. He goes down. Dylan Rosiak involved again and down short of the first down.
Good tackle in space by Dylan Rosiak to respond, coming out of coverage and attacking that near hip of Holly. And Wilkerson's going to elect to punt here on 4th and 2, down 24-0 here late in the first.
So Matt Grossetich has had a 30-yard punt return tonight, but he's also had a muffed punt. Now, Illinois did recover when he fumbled it.
Substitution. Offense, 12-minute formation, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
And so with 2:53 left in the second quarter, by the way, we are creeping in on the first time that you and I will experience a 2-minute timeout in college football.
Don't call it a warning.
Yes,
it's a
2-minute timeout
in college. Okay?
Yes.
It's not a warning. It's a 2-minute timeout. Brett Bielema was talking about this. Hey, this could increase the scoring in the last 2 minutes of the game because it allows you one more time to stop the clock just like it does in the NFL.
Grossetich is going to let this one bounce. And we will be back in 15 seconds with 2:29 left in the half.
By the kicking team, first down.
You know, by the way, Illinois will have the ball here. I loved hearing the sounds of the pads popping a moment ago. You know, college football is back tonight. I believe it was F. Scott Fitzgerald in The Great Gatsby who said, life starts all over again when it gets crisp in the fall. Now, far be it for me to try to like change the prose of a great American novel like The Great Gatsby, but life starts all over again when you see the sights and hear the sounds of college football. That's what it is.
There's nothing like it in the Midwest, but here's the deal. It's not just in the Midwest anymore for the Big Ten. It's on the West Coast.
That's right.
You know, I used to say when the leaves start to change on an October crisp afternoon, but I don't know if it gets crisp in LA in October, but we'll take it.
Here is a quick throw out and a catch made outside the 40-yard line. Well done. Staying on his feet, it's Malik Elzy with his first catch of the year. Elzy caught 5 passes as a freshman last year, and Elzy with good hands and good feet after the catch. The ball up near midfield.
This is why he was a 4-star recruit out of Chicago, a big signee for Brett Bielema. Look at the balance, the power, the strength. He's made big strides in year 2, according to offensive coordinator Barry Lunny Jr.
And officially the ball at the 50-yard line, and here it is. So we will be back right after this. The 2-minute timeout with Illinois up 24-0. There's no doubt that J.C. Davis coming from New Mexico to Illinois was a really good get for Brett Bielema and the Fighting Illini. You see the numbers from Pro Football Focus about J.C. Davis being the highest rated tackle. Brett said he watched over 100 potential transfer portal options at tackle. He said J.C. Davis was the best, so you know what he did, Jay? He went to Albuquerque, New Mexico. First day that you could visit with transfer portal options, 7 a.m. for breakfast with J.C. Davis.
Brett and JC at breakfast.
Yes.
That's a sight to behold, I'm sure.
Run play here, 4 yards. Aiden Lawfrey to the 46-yard line. Let's see JC Davis doing his work here.
Gotta love the feet of JC Davis and the hands inside and just watch him finish, just a grinder. Right? That's what you want in a tackle. Great feet for JC Davis.
Off to the right side, Pat Bryant. Pat Bryant, he has 2 touchdown catches tonight. And then a grab, far side of the field, out of bounds, 34-yard line, a first down. Clock stops.
To add to your point about J.C. Davis, Davis said he chose Illinois because of the family atmosphere and the commitment of the coaching staff to developing offensive linemen. He says the transition to Champaign has been seamless and the offensive line is super close. As an Oakland, California native who previously played in New Mexico, I had to ask if he's prepared for a Midwest winter, to which he responded, "Come on now, I'm a big guy. I like the cold."
Here's a pass to the end zone. Elsie caught the first pass of the drive, and he's caught the last pass of the drive. Touchdown, Illinois! Great throw to the corner of the end zone, and Malik Elsie extends the lead. 34 yards on the pitch and catch.
Elsie's such a big body and big target. It looked like he stumbled about the 2 or 3 yard line. Watch him stumble, but then regain his feet here. Beats his man off the line. Watch him stumble a little bit right there, but he's able to gather himself. Altmaier stands in. Another great deep ball by Luke Altmaier. Maybe didn't stumble, but accelerate a little bit to get underneath that football and complete the football catch. That's a confidence builder for Malik Elsie.
Extra point, David Alano, 31-0. 90 seconds left in the first half. There's a lot for Malik Elsie, the sophomore from Chicago, to celebrate back at 30. I don't think Brett Bielema is alone in this opinion, but the Illinois head coach told us yesterday the 2-minute timeout he thinks will spike the number of scores at the end of halves. Doesn't mean that they would not have scored without the 2-minute timeout, but Illinois, with the 2-minute timeout interrupting their 4-play 67-yard touchdown drive, just scored.
Well, Brett's right so far. You can see receivers coach Justin Stepp right there, talking to Malik Elsie and Pat Bryant. Justin Stepp, they brought him in from South Carolina to coach the receivers, and it looks to me like these receivers have taken a jump this year, and that's a credit to Barry Lunny Jr., Justin Stepp coaching them up.
Be a touchback here on the kickoff by Machowski. Ethan Machowski, transfer from Texas A&M. Malik Elsie did catch 1 touchdown pass last year in a game against Penn State, so that wasn't the first time he was able to savor the flavor of the end zone. But a heck of a throw, heck of a catch. 34 yards from Luke Altmaier to Malik Elsie. And Illinois leading Eastern Illinois 31-0.
Mark, when we talked to Barry Lunny Jr., we were asking, give us a word about some of your players. When we went to Malik Elsie, he said, I like him. He just said, I like him. It wasn't a ton of description, but he said took a really big step this year from year 1 to year 2. And look at this, Luke Altmaier, the first guy since Wes Lunt to have 4 pass TDs in a half since Wes Lunt did against Kent State.
9 years ago. 2 to Pat Bryant, 1 to Tanner Arkin, 1 to Malik Elsie. Eastern Illinois, FCS opponent from the Big South Ohio Valley Football Association, a merger of those 2 conferences. They're expected to be a competitor for their league championship and punch their ticket back to the FCS playoffs. They were just barely on the outside looking in. They were, if I may borrow a college basketball term, they were a bubble team last year and left out of the field, one of the first 4 out.
This is a good football team, a good FCS football team last year. As you can see, Luke Altmaier looking on. Talk about the work that he's done this offseason. Kylan mentioned the mental work he's done as far as being a quarterback, a team leader, putting bad plays away, not living in the glory of a great play or the guilt of a bad play, but playing the next play. That's Luke Altmaier, the leader for this Illini offense.
He threw 13 touchdowns last year. He is about a third of the way there tonight. Jay Pearson. Pearson's run up to the 40, between the 39 and 40.
30-second timeout. It's 4th down.
10 touchdown passes in the last 6 games for Altmyer last year. And look, things were rolling for him. Then he got hurt. And John Paddock, I mean, you want to talk about somebody who got it rolling.
Right. Well, John Paddock, the legend of John Paddock, comes in with under 2 minutes to play against Minnesota. Leads a game-winning drive. Next week leads a game-winning drive against Indiana as well. And Altmyer had to sit the bench while Paddock finished the season. And that could be tough for a young man who came here from Starkville, transferred from Ole Miss, and said, hey, I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to get better from it. Didn't pout. Responded. You could see the fruits of what he's done on and off the field with the production he's had in the first half against the Panthers. And his favorite target, Pat Bryant, has been productive as well.
Well, it should. You brought up coming from Starkville, grew up in Starkville, Mississippi,
Yes.
transfer from
Yes.
Ole Miss. That is important
Thanks
because
for clarifying that, because Starkville's where Mississippi State's at.
yes, sir. Barry Lundy said yesterday to us that he's just more comfortable this year. Knows me, knows Coach B, knows the system, how we practice, how we coach things. Mac Rusetich has been returning punts tonight. This is the second official return for him. Let one go, fumbled another one. And that took us down to almost the end of the first half. 6 seconds left.
Other than those 2 throws we saw Luke Altmyer make in the red zone where they were stymied for just a field goal, where he forced it to Boyer, he first one to Franklin on the double move. He's been very clean. And for Brett Bielema, 31-0 in the first half, but a clean game for them, right?
Yes.
Not a lot of penalties, not a lot of turnovers, no turnovers, right? So very clean first half for the Illini.
No big negative plays to speak of on offense, and forcing turnovers. 3 turnovers forced in the opening half of the game. 2 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery. The fumble recovery by Miles Scott. Miles Scott had one of the interceptions. Torrey Cox Jr. had another one. Big punt return by Mac Rusetich put them in prime real estate. And we will hear from Brett Bielema in a moment. Kylan Mills on the field is with him right now.
Coach, your offense puts 31 points on the board. You're getting it done both on the ground and in the air. What impressed you most?
Well, I like the way we played complementary football. Defense obviously came up with some turnovers. Our offense converted. We felt coming in the game we'd be able to be balanced, like way to thrower, especially our quarterback, some of the deep ball connections. You can't put a price tag on that stuff.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
No, you cannot buy that. If you did, it would cost you a lot of money.
Well, the deep ball connections is true. He's been accurate on the farthest throws of the night.
Interceptions have certainly helped, but some great passes like this one to Pat Bryant, another one to Malik Elzy, and it was a perfect first half for Illinois. They're up 31-0 at home.
Halftime in Champaign. What a half it's been for Pat Bryant. How about this grab? Fabulous. One of his 2 touchdown receptions. Illini on top 31-0 at the half. Dave Revson, Howard Griffith with you. I recognize it's Eastern Illinois. It's hard to judge, especially against an FCS opponent early on in the year. But this is kind of what it's supposed to look like, Howard. There's not a whole lot to quibble with. Yeah. The Illini have been thoroughly dominant.
Really going out and controlling the line of scrimmage, running the ball early in the first quarter, getting that done, and then coming back and coming up with some huge pass plays in the pass game. So they've done exactly what they've expected to do. Defense has stepped up and come up with 17 points off those 3 turnovers.
And you look at what Eastern Illinois did a year ago. I mean, this was the top defense in the Ohio Valley Conference in terms of scoring D, 31 points in the first half. The Illini were not a great offensive football team a year ago. One of the things that really hampered them was they turned the ball over, but Luke Altmyer's done a great job of taking care of the football. 4 touchdown passes here in the first half. He's already at a career high there. Pretty clean performance.
Yeah, so much of it is about continue to gain that confidence, and that he's getting that done today. They're putting him in positions to come up with some big plays. His receivers downfield are coming up with some huge catches for him as well.
They have more than tripled Eastern Illinois' yardage. Again, the Illini very much in control, 31-0 at the break. This one of 3 games in the Big Ten tonight. Minnesota's got a power conference foe. Show you how they're faring against North Carolina, and Rutgers taking care of business against Howard
Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Howard.
Sorry.
Did your best.
I tried.
Highlights coming up. A couple other games going on in the Big Ten tonight. Minnesota hosting North Carolina. Heels up 7-0 on the move. Max Johnson picked off by Justin Wally. Had just one pick a year ago, but comes up with a huge one here, Howard.
Yeah, really did a great job of tracking the football. And he's like, I'm going to score. I'm going to try to score this thing.
Gets it down
touchdown
inside the 10. Marcus Major, the Oklahoma transfer, took it in a couple plays later. Then Max Brosmer with a QB sneak puts Minnesota on top 14-7. They just kicked off the third quarter. Gophers up by that touchdown. Rutgers and Howard pick it up in the first quarter. This game earlier tonight here on the Big Ten Network. Eric Rogers, speaking of interceptions, Howard.
Really good job of running the route for the wide receiver, reading the quarterback's eyes, and then turning this into a touchdown.
52 yards. The former Northern Illinois transfer was 17-7 at the half. And then all Rutgers second half. Cal Monungai tied his career high with 165 rushing yards. Ethan Kaliak-Manis, a little bit of a coverage breakdown here, Howard.
Yeah, just a little bit. Get it to the back out of the backfield, takes it in.
Samuel Brown taking it in there, 31-7. Kaliak-Manis, 3 touchdown passes, 44-7. Rutgers, a winner. Let's talk through each one of those two games. Let's start with Minnesota. I think it's fair to say it hasn't been a great offensive performance for either team. Gophers right around 115 yards in the first half. They held Carolina under 100. It's really been the defense that's been this story.
It really has, and they needed that defense to step up and play well because offensively they've had some challenges there and not being able to produce some of the big plays in the passing game. But this is a team that really, this is who you get when you talk about playing Minnesota. You know it's going to be a tough physical football game.
And North Carolina was 5th in the nation in total offense last year. I realized they lost a quarterback who had a little something to do with that in Drake May. But again, this is a pretty good offensive program that Mac Brown runs. So it says something when you hold them under 100 yards. Gophers, we should tell you, playing without Darius Taylor, who is out with an injury. Okay, what about Rutgers against Howard?
Yeah. Played
well, certainly, in the second half, pulling away 31-7. The ground game was dominant. What did you take from it?
I think it was early. You know, defensively, there were some few struggles. There were some breakdowns, but they were able to recover at halftime. And then they got back to exactly who they are, running the football. Kyle Monungai doing a great job of creating plays with his legs. And this is who this team is. There's some things that they need to clean up moving forward to next week. But I can tell you, Coach is going to be excited about that because they weren't world beaters today.
329 yards on the ground. That's pretty good. That's the most they've had in 8 years. I think the one thing that concerned me, Howard, we've wondered about the pass rush, particularly with Mohamed Touré out. They got one sack. It came at the end, basically in garbage time.
I think they'll have to continue to manufacture sacks, and that's coming up with some different schemes to bring extra defenders into the box to create some pressure.
Proved a 6-0 all-time against the Bison. Meanwhile, Illinois trying to stay perfect against Eastern Illinois, and they are well on their way. Seth Coleman coming up with the fumble recovery here for the Illini. 31-0 Illinois at the break. More football tomorrow night on the Big Ten Network. Game 1 of the Jonathan Smith era at Michigan State as they will host Florida Atlantic. Comes your way at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific here on the Big Ten Network and always on the Fox Sports app. Look at the big board. How about 18 games this weekend? 9 of them here on the Big Ten Network. Game 2 of our doubleheader as Illinois on top of EIU. 31-0. Pat Bryant, team high 7 TD catches last year. Already 2 in this game. 2 of the 4 touchdown tosses for Luke Altmaier. Second half coming up from Champaign.
Tonight's Big Impact research takes us to Champaign, where veterinary specialists are helping flat-faced dogs and cats breathe easy. These breeds often suffer from respiratory problems. And Dr. Heidi Phillips of the University of Illinois is one of a few veterinary surgeons who perform novel procedures to widen these pets' airways. After surgical intervention, Her patients can play without gasping for air, sleep without choking, and are less likely to die from heart disease caused by a lifetime of labored breathing. Thank you so much, Dr. Phillips, for what you're doing for our four-legged friends here at the University of Illinois, where the 2024 football season has opened tonight, and it was all Illinois in the first half, Fighting Illini in front 31-0. Mark Followell joined by former Illini All-American linebacker Jay Lehman. What a first half, Jay.
Very clean football. No turnovers for the Illini. Very limited on the penalties and sharp offensively. Luke Altmaier looked as good as we've seen him in an Illini uniform.
We now have our first half stats brought to you by Belfour Restoration and the stats for the first half of tonight's game. Belfour Property Restoration, that is. First half numbers. How about this? 275 yards of total offense for Illinois. Last year they averaged 391 a game, which was third in the Big Ten. 163 in the air, 112 on the ground, 7 yards per play. Besides not picking up much of the way of yardage, I mean, the 3 turnovers.
3 turnovers are key. Huge momentum shifters early in that first half. Eastern Illinois had the momentum, totally changed on the caused fumble by Miles Scott. But how about the balance? The ability to run the football and throw the football. That's what Barry Lunney Jr. wants to do, and that's the identity that Brett Bielema wants to have for this football team in 2024.
Illinois won the toss tonight. They received to start the game, so Eastern Illinois has the ball to start the second half. And more down the field from Kylan Mills.
As Eastern Illinois looks to close this 31-point deficit, head coach Chris Wilkerson says it all comes down to winning the turnover battle. He says 3 is just too many in the first half. His team has to do a better job of possessing the football and then cleaning up some of those giveaways. He also says special teams blunders were really costly. That's another thing they want to clean up in the second half. Defensively, he said, give credit to Illinois. They made some great contested catches. He also said they were playing some man-to-man on the outside that he feels like was problematic, so they may make some adjustments in what they're doing schematically.
I mean, Chris Wilkerson, Kylan, you know this, Jay, you know this. I mean, the conversation ended. Again, to reiterate, if we're going to go up to Champaign and have a chance, we cannot beat ourselves. Our team is built on taking care of the ball. Turnover margin per game, they were the best in FCS last year. They were a plus 1.4 per game in turnovers. MJ Flowers running play. Doesn't get very far.
You saw Gabe Akis just gunk that up from his defensive line position along with Matthew Bailey, who has been a ball hawk this whole game, playing that same position that Sidney Brown played 2 years ago, where he was so productive at the strong safety position as Chris Wilkerson looks on.
Former head coach at the University of Chicago. Charter member back in the day at the Big Ten. MJ Flowers caught it and then knocked down by Caleb Patterson. Patterson, the redshirt sophomore from Jackson, Mississippi, transfer from Pearl River Community College, starting at corner tonight, and an outstanding open field tackle.
First off, look at the technique. Watch Patterson destroy the block, run right by it, and then tackle the near hip of the receiver to make a tackle in space for a loss. Patterson has great length at corner. He beat out Terrence Brooks for this starting job for the Illini and makes the tackle in space, shaking up on the play a little bit, and asked for the trainers to come take a look at him as he walks off under his own power. Looks like he's got a smile on his face as he walks off.
Did play 4 games last year in his first season in the program after his time at the JUCO level for a year in Mississippi. Star of the show in the defensive backfield is a contest, however, between Miles Scott and Torrey Cox Jr. in the first half.
Yeah, creating turnovers. Torrey Cox Jr., a guy who was a late portal pickup out of Ohio University, played a lot of football in Ohio at a high level. I'm glad they picked him up for the Illini D.
And here's pressure, and Pierce Holly is hit from the backside. You got Alec Bryant, you got Gabe Akis.
Yeah, And that's Gabe Atkins working the edge. Look at the power.
Defense, number 3, 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
So you got Gabe working from the interior. It's going to be negated by a penalty here, but great hands and move by Gabe Atkins as he gets to the football from his interior line position, 17. See, he bats the hands down of the lineman, and Bryant gobbles on. Now that sack was negated because there was a penalty, I believe, offsides on Alec Bryant.
Yes.
Third time rather, that they have lined up in the neutral zone, and it's been costly. It's negated a TFL by Matthew Bailey and that sack by Gabe Atkins.
And here's pressure again, but Holly got the ball out, and it's caught by Cooper Willman, and it's a first down over the 45 to the 47.
Good protection there by the EIU offensive line. We thought we'd see more of that from Pierce Holly, that quick game, and able to make throws into the field. Long throw. Watch the protection here from the offensive line that gave him time. You got Bryant and Atkins coming off the edge, and Bryant lost his footing trying to run the hump there.
And another ball out quickly, and another completion to Cooper Willman. Willman was injured last year, limiting him to only 6 catches. 32 in his career at Eastern Illinois for the redshirt junior from Sterling, Illinois. That play went for 6. And because of that 6-yard gain, Pierce Holly and the Panthers have crossed midfield. Something they have done one previous time tonight. A throw to the back shoulder and incompletion. Torrey Cox on the coverage. Dearius Smith was the target.
We've seen that pressure before where Rosiak from his middle linebacker position triggers. You'll see he'll come close to getting a hit on the quarterback. Good effort there by Smith, but unable to come up with a catch with a tight coverage by Cox, and brings up a 3rd and 5 at midfield.
Smith, a productive receiver in his time with Eastern Illinois. He's from Lexington, Kentucky. 45 career catches, over 720 yards. Drew Wilder, the shotgun snap, nowhere to go for Pierce Holly. Wow.
Just love the call that Seth Coleman ran right there on what they call the Texas stunt. You see what Aaron Henry called. Watch him come to the inside, and the defensive line Briggs go to the outside. Watch him come inside. This is a quarterback draw killer. The quick Texas stunt, some people call it the QT stunt, and that was dialed up because Aaron Henry knew that Pierce Holly loves to run the quarterback draw on 3rd and short, 3rd and medium. He guessed right. Coleman paid off in spades with a big hit on the quarterback.
And because of that play by Seth Coleman, it's 4th and 7. It's a punting situation, and Jacob Horvath with the kick. Fair catch by Mac Rosetich at the 14-yard line. Luke Altmaier, 4 touchdown passes in the first half for the Illini. The stars of the game tonight for Illinois, it's a consolation when you look at how many players have starred tonight for the Illini. We picked 4. We could pick more, but Altmaier, Fagan, Bryant on the offensive side of the ball, Miles Scott on defense.
They've been exceptional. Bryant has really had his coming out party this season in the first half already.
Running, Aiden Lawfrey starting at running back tonight, picked up about 4 yards. As we have today's Quick Clips brought to you by Sport Clips.
Yeah, start with Pat Bryant, right? Altmaier to Pat Bryant, and then on the rollout to Tanner Arkin for a tutty. And then look at this dart, this rainbow shot all the way to Pat Bryant and Malik Elzy as well. The deep ball was on point for Luke Altmaier. A very efficient, successful first half for Luke Altmaier.
81 yards all year last year for Aiden Lawfrey. He's got 40 yards tonight. Oh, wow, 2 markers have been thrown here on this second down play.
It's going to be a roughing the passer on Eastern Illinois. It was complete to Colin Dixon.
It's number 6. 15-yard penalty from the end of the play, automatic first down.
That's pass rusher
after that
Joel
last defensive
Barrows.
possession.
Pretty obvious, threw him late. after he had let the ball go and slung him down. It's a good call by the officials. Completion, though, to Colin Dixon as well.
So Colin Dixon, we've seen him block tonight, but that's his first catch of the game. Another run for Lofrey. Past the 41. Luke Wagner with the tackle. Luke Altmaier, 4 touchdown passes in the first half. The running game hasn't accounted for any scores, but certainly accounted for some chunk plays. Evidenced by, for example, you saw Caden Fagan on that graphic a moment ago, almost 9 yards per carry. Now Lofrey goes in motion out of the backfield. A clean pocket. A good pass to Ashton Hollins. Put his foot in the ground. Spins to the outside and down the sideline. First time he's been involved tonight. And Ashton Hollins, the redshirt, or the sophomore that is, from Lucedale, Mississippi.
Yeah, this is a guy that was injured in training camp a little bit, but they're really high on him. Watch him spin to the outside, just a little dig route in. Now watch him put his foot in the ground, like you said, Mark, and get upfield with a stiff arm, and then get the yards after catch. Might be one of the faster wide receivers out there, but has the length as well. Ashton Hollins, what a tremendous story this young man is. You know, grew up with parents that were deaf, had to bring in people to sign language at the recruiting visit, and that helped seal the deal for Ashton Hollins.
And you saw his length, 6'5", 190, and those long arms with a stiff arm. Penalty flag down here with 9:34 left in the third quarter. Hollins just had a 29-yard reception.
Offense, number 74, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Well, that is the first time that we're talking about J.C. Davis for something other than his stellar resume upon transferring from New Mexico to Illinois.
Well, Barry Lunny said, right, we don't hear about him much, but when you do, you hear about offensive linemen. It's usually not good, and he does hold here, right? He gets beat at the point of attack on the run play, and he just grabs that jersey of the EIU defender while he's trying to escape, and easy call for the official.
Well, as Barry said yesterday, we expect some things will go wrong. He's not impeccable. There's a run by Caden Fagan. Got some of the yards back. It's to the 33 before Phoenix Porter brings down Caden Fagan.
Fagan just is so impressive. You know, has the brace on that shoulder. That's the shoulder that he hurt last year. Was a long recovery for Fagan, but finally 100%.
Barry Lunny Jr. was at UTSA before coming to Illinois. Was with Brett Bielema at Arkansas, coached as an assistant on his dad's staff at Bentonville High School. And here's a catch by Kenari Wilcher, and a late flag at the end of the play. The catch and run left Illinois short of the first down by 2 yards, but then you saw the afters and the resulting penalty.
It looked like there was some chatter. Good block there by Zachary Franklin to spring Kenari Wilcher in space as they brought Wilcher here on the screen. And there's a little, I think it's that push by Nick Coates, number
Personal
1.
foul, late hit, defense, number 1. Half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
Well, the drive now, an even more favorable position for the Illini. So we've seen Ashton Hollins catch a pass on this drive. Kenari Wilcher's second catch. Pat Bryant, Tanner Arkin, Malik Elzy, Hank Beatty. They've done it out of the backfield to Lofrey tonight. Spreading the wealth in the passing game, Jay. But right now, it's the running game. And Lofrey so close to accounting for the first rushing touchdown of the game tonight for Illinois, but down to the 2.
I love what Barry Lunny's done with, he's hurrying up out of the huddle, not allowing them to line up correctly. This is the third or fourth time we've seen them run out of the bunch formation into the boundary. We saw a pitch to Fagan, we saw a pitch to Lofrey here, and it works extremely well. Watch them hustle to the line. It doesn't let the defense adjust. You can see that, and they're not ready for it, and they're able to get to the edge.
Tanner Arkin, the tight end, among those who threw good blocks. And now here's a chance for Caden Fagan, and he sticks the ball out for the goal line. And waiting on a signal, and Luke Altmyer has hoisted his hands and arms in the air. And finally the call is touchdown. The man that matters, one of the referees, indicates touchdown. The line judge came in. I love that Luke Altmyer signaled touchdown, but the line judge made it official.
Made it official. Let's look at the extra effort here. See the ball cross. It's hard to see now where his knee's at, but doesn't look like his hip or his knee is down right there.
I agree.
And he passes and breaks that plane, that goal line, any part of that ball. Good call right there by the officials. That's a great look right there. Certainly looks to be over. And even if you did review, do you have enough?
I agree.
To even overturn it with those angles.
Well, it is going to be reviewed. And so for the second time tonight, a decision is now in the hands of the Big Ten's new state-of-the-art replay center, centralized location for the decision-making process of official reviews. And they will determine whether or not this touchdown is confirmed or will stand for Caden Fagan.
See, now that look, it looked like it.
Well, Mike Pereira, our rules analyst. We get to talk to Mike for the first time tonight and the first time in 2024. And Mike, you're having a look at this as we are. What do you think?
Well, I'm kind of like you because I'm looking through the maze here and I see the ball that actually appears to break the plane, but I can't see the knees. And so then you get to the point of what did they rule? And often on these runs up the middle like this, you know, that you never get the clearest look. So I don't really see anything they could use to overturn it from what I've seen anyways.
Well, it would be the first rushing touchdown tonight if it does indeed either be a call that is confirmed or, to Mike's point, maybe just they'll announce it as a call that stands.
And see, there you can see that his hip, which would be similar to a knee, is going down, and it's just tough to tell when he actually crossed and when the hip actually hit.
After review, the runner was down at the half-yard line.
Oh. So a first down is gained, but a touchdown is not scored.
Well, that was hard to tell on that play, but it looked like they must have seen that his hip was down.
Well, the word that Mike Pereira just used was maze, and you do have to look through a maze of offensive and defensive players.
Yeah, that's tough to tell, man.
Yeah.
That right hip does go down, but I don't know if the ball has crossed the plane or not.
Well, it's first down and goal inside the 1 yard line. Will they dial up Caden Fagan's number again? Yes, they will, and this is a no-doubter. Into the end zone. A little delayed gratification for Caden Fagan. The initial touchdown taken away. This one is on the board, 37-0 with an extra point to come. One-yard touchdown run.
Just a little zone play, right? Cuts it right back into that soft spot between Priestley and his tight end, Boyer.
Yeah, Melvin Priestley is the other new tackle. We talked about J.C. Davis on the left side. Priestley getting it done there on the right side as Illinois extends the lead. Today's Old School feature brought to you by Old National Bank. This is the 100th anniversary season of Memorial Stadium. You saw a photo of the dedication game against Michigan back in 1924, game against Army in 1929, the Galloping Ghost, Red Grange with his return in 1974. 1983, a win over Michigan, first one in 16 games. Howard Griffith, of course, part of the Big Ten Network studio crew, 8 touchdowns in 1990, Big Ten Championship in 2001, James McCourt with the walk-off field goal for the big upset over number 6 Wisconsin back in 2019. Some of the great, awesome sights of Memorial Stadium over the last 100 years. Dick Butkus, who passed away approximately 10.5 months ago. You see the number 50 and the number of the legendary number 77, Red Grange. 4 touchdowns in the first half of the win over Michigan in the dedication game 100 years ago.
I mean, to get your number retired for the University of Illinois, there's a very, very high standard.
Yes.
Doesn't get any better than Red Grange and the great Dick Butkus.
Someone I know who you held in high regard as a linebacker, Jay.
Very high regard.
The first play of this drive here for Eastern Illinois. MJ Flowers has not had the chance to show his stuff tonight, but an accomplished underclassman still running back for Eastern Illinois, brought down by Dylan Rosiak, among others. Getting a look at the Illinois defense, who's trying to pitch a shutout. 2.5 quarters, just a little bit past the midpoint of the third quarter now. Matthew Bailey, getting a look at Bailey, one of the safeties, along with Miles Scott. Here's a throw to the sideline. Cooper Willman caught it, rolled out of bounds, and down to Kylan Mills with more on the field.
After the last defensive possession, Illinois head coach Bret Bielema called over the linebackers and absolutely reamed them out for an offside call a couple of plays earlier. He said, you have to get back, you have to get onside. Defensive coordinator Aaron Henry and linebackers coach Archie McDaniel joined in, saying, how are you going to be the best position group on this team and be offside? Despite the lopsided score, the coaching staff making clear that penalty unacceptable.
So there was a fumbled snap here on 3rd and short. You saw, and I think Kyla had some great stuff I want to revisit here in a second. But let's sort this out.
Challenges, therefore they're charged with timeout. Timeout, Illinois.
So 6:06 left in the third quarter. Illinois in front, 38-0 with this timeout. We return with 6:06 to go in the third quarter in Champaign, and Illinois in front of Eastern Illinois, 38-0. Bret Bielema wanted to challenge this play, a Cooper Willman catch, which the ball did touch the ground, but he didn't lose control.
Certainly did look like the ball hit the ground there, but he did not have a challenge.
And so they were just charged a timeout, Jay.
That's correct.
And so that third down play where Pierce Hawley fumbled the snap was blown dead beforehand, and they were just charged a timeout. Now markers come in. Hawley was able to churn past the 35 for a first down, it appears. Now the question is, does this stand? This play.
False start. Offense, number 72, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
28 starts in 5 seasons for Elkanan Tanalis from Naples, Florida, 6-year senior. You see him move at left guard.
Old Elkanan gets antsy. Boy, I didn't see much movement at all. I'm not sure what they saw there. The coaches call him Elk. I didn't see Elk move much there.
Well, now the third down snap is 5.5 yards. It's inside the 30. Hawley throws, and this is caught by Eli Mirza, who fights off a tackle by Jaheim Clark. And it's a first down.
Yeah, good man beater concept that made Clark go over the top of the pick route. And Clark was late getting there, but able to make the tackle in space to prevent any more yards after the catch.
Got Jeremiah Warren coming onto the field now. Late addition to the group for the Illini, and Tira Edwards is going out.
You have to let them substitute. If the offense substitute, they have to let the defense substitute.
Haven't seen a lot of Warren, the redshirt freshman, tonight. And this is a sliding catch out of bounds for Darius Smith. So Illinois, one of the best defenses in the country in 2022. Look at the TFLs, the takeaways, the pressure percentage, all of those numbers dropping last year, Jay.
And they lost a lot, right? They lost 3 NFL defensive backs, but they just were not good enough to win consistently in the Big Ten by not getting the turnovers they got and not getting the pressure they needed, despite having Johnny Newton, a tear at defensive tackle, create chaos.
Here's a 2nd down and 3, and it's lofted up by Pierce Hawley. Oh, wow. Caleb Patterson on coverage. And 2 different penalty flags fly in, understandably so.
It's a good teaching point here with Patterson. He's in phase. That means he's in sync there with the receiver here and tries to track the football and just gets handsy and pulls down the receiver when he doesn't need to, right? Watch him pull down right there. He didn't need to do that.
For 22, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
6 penalties tonight now. Illinois averaged just over 6.5 per game last year.
Pretty clean other than the offsides. The defense lining up offsides. That was not a clean play by Patterson. He'll learn from that, though.
They were trying to throw it to Darius Smith, who had caught the pass on first down, and Pierce Holly has to eat it. Joe Barna, promising freshman. He can be special, is what Aaron Henry told us yesterday.
Out of Wheaton North High School, helped lead Wheaton North to 2021-2022 state championships. Watch the inside move here as he uses the bull rush. Wow, just power from Barna and extension, and then slides inside. Aaron Henry says this guy's the next great outside linebacker for the University of Illinois.
When asking yesterday if there's a player on the defense who's farther down the depth chart that he really was excited to see get some snaps tonight, Joe Barna was the name mentioned. And by the way, Barna, after the sack on the previous play, part of the tackle on that running play as well.
Productive. Can he play on the line of scrimmage in the Big Ten? That's the question for Joe Barna and Alex Bray. They've got some young football players. They developed some great defensive linemen under Terrence Jamison, the defensive line coach. Could Barna be the next? He plays outside linebacker, but does play on the outside on the line of scrimmage.
And Holly throws it away. There was a delayed blitz coming in. Rosiak, Pat Farrell. Barna had the drop here, Jay.
Showing the versatility right here. He's guarded man-to-man the back. Barna just a young football player, just a freshman. His future's bright for that kid from Wheaton North.
39-yard line of the Illini, 4th and 8. Here's Holly to throw, and they convert. It's caught at the 25, running to the inside of the field, and then the ball came out at the last minute after Darius Smith and caught it.
How about Dylan Rosiak? This is what you call hustle, folks. Patterson is beat on the play. Patterson makes the recovery, but it's Dylan Rosiak and running to the football. If you're a young linebacker, you need to watch number 28, Dylan Rosiak. He spots the football, he sprints the ball, and watch him strike the football out of the receiver's hands. Turnover for the Illini. They're 4th of the night. Caleb Patterson jumps on a 1st and 10 going the other way.
Tomorrow, more football comes your way when the Spartans start their season against Florida Atlantic. The excitement kicks off at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Recall Florida Atlantic last year played Illinois. These Fighting Illini very tough. Just a 6-point win in that game for Illinois. But it's a whole lot more than a 6-point win that the Fighting Illini will record tonight, and a big reason why they forced 4 turnovers.
Yeah, Miles Scott had a big part, 2 of them forcing the fumble early, then played center field with the interception, and Torrey Cox got in on the action. And this last one by Dylan Rosiak, the hustle from the middle linebacker to strip the football with a tomahawk chop. That's not something that just happens, that's coached, right? They coach that drill every day, every week probably, of how to get the football out, executed perfection by Dylan Rosiak.
And they go on an end around here, and there's space for Aiden Lawfery. Lawfery running down the sideline and outside the 40-yard line. Big pickup on the first play after the turnover. As Aiden Lawfery, the starting running back tonight, adds to his total.
I love what Barry Lundy Jr. designed here. And Bart Miller, their offensive line coach, blocked it up perfectly, bringing Lawfery in motion, having Caden Fagan and Big Zy Chrysler lead the way outside. Watch Fagan block down the field, which creates that big play for Lawfery.
Zy Chrysler making his 25th start on the Illinois offensive line tonight. And here is a keeper by Altmaier. Altmaier, a first down. Elijah Tolbert looked like he wanted to slap that ball away, running up from behind, but did not do so, and it's a first down to the 43 of the Panthers.
I like the call, and that you make a defense prepare for that if you watch it on film. I just wish Altmaier would have slid. If you're an Illini fan, a good gain, but no need to take a hit when you're up 38-0 and get up just a tad slow here. He's a tough guy, blocked by Colin Dixon. He's gang tackled there by a couple defenders, including Elijah Tolbert.
Altmyer did run for 282 yards last year, including a 72-yard run in the opening game. The 2-point win over Toledo. That's Caden Fagan with a first down run inside the 35.
Caden Fagan jumped over the defender trying to cut his legs and gain an extra 4 yards with his length to make it a 9-yard gain. Brett Bielema's got like what he's seen from his running backs tonight, Aiden Lawfrey and Caden Fagan.
Both of them with 79 rushing yards in the game. And you add Josh McCray into the mix, and it's a talented trio at running back, no question, that Illinois, if they can keep them healthy, will have at their disposal this year. First down easily converted by Fagan to the 22.
Behind Chrysler and Melvin Priestley, there are some gaping holes. Watch 72 and 58. Just combo block on people. 2 for 1 by Melvin Priestley. The Grambling transfer, that's another story as well, Marcus. Another breakfast meeting in the morning.
Yes.
This time in Mississippi.
The selling,
Louisiana.
And Louisiana, yes, outside of Ruston, Louisiana. The selling point was they put on tape of a Grambling game against LSU, and Melvin Priestley blocked the edge rushers for LSU better than any other tackles he saw that were in the portal from the SEC. Here's a run to the right side, Caden Fagan. And this is on the edge of the red zone now with that ball down just outside the 20-yard line.
But Priestley out of East St. Louis High School, historically a recruiting ground for the University of Illinois. Some great players have come out of there. Terry Hawthorne, of course, the great Dana Howard. Henderson, the other tackle, another tackle is from John Henderson from East St. Louis, so it was a good fit. Barry Lunny sat down with him. They said they brought Aaron Henry down as well, and Coach Bielema to try to get Melvin Priestley to commit. And he did, and it's been great to get him as the right tackle for the Illini.
Well, they wanted to get a read on Melvin Priestley to person as well. We can discuss that a little more as the night unfolds. We're into the fourth quarter now. Joe Barnes has had some time tonight, and he's having fun. The Illini are. This man may need a scholarship here in the galloping ghost race that occurred between the third and fourth quarters. Wow. Jay, we might say that's picking him up and putting him down.
Not sure Aiden Lawfrey could beat that guy. With the 4.41 converted 40 from his 10.5 800. All we know is that 77-yard race was won handily by the Ghost himself.
And now to the other end, and Luke Altmyer still on the field as we begin the fourth quarter. Alex Kapka-Jones, he was the intended receiver. Well, running the football, we know how important that is to Coach Brett Bielema. And look at the success tonight. I mean, it's not just the total yards, it's the average. I mean, it's over 7 a pop for both guys, Lawfrey and Fagan.
And this is what Brett Bielema wants to do. He talked about one of the years at Wisconsin, he had John Clay who ran for over 1,000. He had James White over 1,000, and Monty Ball was 2 yards away from 1,000. He's like, if I would have known, I would have got 3 guys for 1,000 yards.
Man, Altmyer has time to do his laundry back there, and then finally has to go to the check down throw. And part of the running back room, Josh McCray, makes the catch, but it's short of the first down. The ball is at the 17-yard line. They're 5 yards short. Jay Burt on the tackle. There's also a penalty on this play, the second of the fourth quarter.
To the face. Defense, number 91. Half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
Well, a most untimely 6th penalty of the game for Eastern Illinois.
Yeah, on J.C. Davis was blocking Nicholas Oliveira Chase, and Oliveira Chase got his hands up into J.C. Davis's helmet. Sometimes that happens on purpose. Sometimes it's just by accident when you're trying to fight to get to the quarterback.
Oliveira Chase, his second year with Eastern Illinois after 2 years at Division II Franklin Pierce University in New Hampshire. Named Jay for the 14th President of the United States. Josh McCray fighting for extra yards off the pile. and spins to the 6-yard line.
I don't know if I'm more impressed with you knowing Franklin Pierce or that he's the 14th president of the United. We all know the 16th, right?
Yes, we do. Yes, from the land of Lincoln.
We're in the land of Lincoln, so we all know that in this neck of the woods. But the 14th, I can tell you, I would have been able to rattle that out. But when you're with a play-by-play pro, they have all kinds of facts that they could pull out of their archives.
Well, we move on here early in the 4th quarter. I did not think Franklin Pierce and F. Scott Fitzgerald would both be referenced tonight. We now reference Josh McCray, untouched into the end zone. Melvin Priestley, the transfer from Grambling State, helped plow the road. And it is a big number on the board tonight here in the land of Lincoln.
The land of Lincoln. Melvin Priestley, though, how about him pulling around here, 58? Wow. Get him some syrup. You know, they said he went to, they went to the version of a pancake house, kind of like an IHOP in Louisiana, and he looked like he had some syrup with that pancake. Get that guy another breakfast.
Oh, my goodness. Phoenix Porter got taken out. He got pancaked by Melvin Priestley, and that opens it up for Josh McCray into the end zone. It's 45-0. Wow. Football on the Big Ten Network is sponsored by State Farm and by Auto Owners Insurance. Well, they're going to have a hype siren here this year at Memorial Stadium, and the hype man on the siren tonight to get the crowd pumped up right before kickoff was the All-American Terrence Shannon Jr., now on his way to the NBA, late first-round draft pick by the Minnesota Timberwolves after his time here playing for the Illini. You saw Donovan Leary. You saw a glimpse of him on the sideline. We believe he'll be on the field for the next Illinois offensive possession. But it's Eastern Illinois on offense now and the Illini on defense. After the kickoff into the end zone, 45-0 the lead for Illinois. Big night by the defense, and more on that defense from Kylan Mills.
Yeah, this Illinois defense has been wreaking havoc with forced turnovers. Defensive coordinator Aaron Henry says takeaways have been a big focus throughout training camp. So for the first time this year, Henry implemented a turnover belt as a way to celebrate defensive takeaways. It's a WWE-style belt that says Mayhem King on it. Henry says it's awarded to a player every practice who forces the most turnovers. It is not on the sidelines at games, though, which is probably for the best in this game, because it's been like an episode of Oprah. You get a turnover, you get a turnover, you get a turnover up until this point.
You know, AEW was in town last night. Aaron Henry says, you know, he enjoys wrestling. AEW and their new champion. He could have got a new belt from Bryan Danielson last night.
AEW reference here tonight. You see Aaron Henry, second-year D coordinator. He's a guy who says, I think this team can be a lot improved on the defensive side of the football because of the experience they bring back.
By the way, Kendi Young has come into the game at running back for Eastern Illinois. He ran the ball on first down. The back shoulder throw for Darius Smith was incomplete. One of the things we talked about with Aaron Henry yesterday was why the 2024 iteration of Illinois' defense will be better, will be more like 2022. And he said, well, we've got more experience. The portal guys that have come in have experience, added to the nucleus of guys who gained experience and got some growing pains out of the way last year. And he said, I'm going to be better and different and call things differently. Year 1 to year 2, almost turnover number 5. Wow. Right to Terrence Brooks, one of those portal guys with experience, Jay, coming in from Texas.
Yeah, they got him late out of the portal in Texas, was in a battle with Caleb Patterson for that position. And watch him in phase and covered with Garner applying the pressure. He just turns around just too late, hits him square in the numbers. They're deep at corner. Caleb Patterson, Cox, Xavier Scott can do it as well. Brooks.
His dad will be disappointed he didn't intercept that. His dad, Chet Brooks, played 3 years with the San Francisco 49ers and had an interception in Super Bowl 24 against Denver. Punt there by Horvath, and this is brought down at the 26-yard line, down by Eastern Illinois. Coming up Saturday, a huge slate of action on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app with a 6-game quadruple header. There's the schedule. Features the Big Ten debuts. of Oregon against Idaho, Washington against Weber State. So go to btn.com/gamefinder for the channel locations in your area.
Have we ever had a quadruple header? I don't think so on the Big Ten Network. Weber State, Washington. Is that Big Ten After Dark? That's what I think.
Yeah, I like it. Debuts to watch 13 new projected starting quarterbacks. Of course, the same one here, Luke Altmaier. 5 new head coaches. Now with the old in with the new. All coming this weekend. All right, so a snap here for Donovan Leary. Now he hands the ball off to Caden Fagan. But Donovan Leary from Sicklerville, New Jersey, sophomore, threw for almost 6,300 yards and 50 touchdowns in his high school career in Sicklerville, New Jersey. And now patiently awaiting his opportunity, and here it is.
Yeah, we got to see Donovan Leary just a bit in the spring game here on Big Ten Network, and he has a big-time arm that can make any throw. Probably not as mobile as Luke Altmaier, but very explosive arm. He can put it on a rope.
Fagan running again. Close to the first down, may have it. Now over the 36-yard line. Kalen Drakeford with the tackle. And Donovan Leary's got a good arm. They did rest him a couple of days. He had a little bit of arm fatigue during fall camp, but Barry Lunney Jr., the offensive coordinator, on a discussion yesterday, said he's absolutely earned his opportunity. He's ready to go, and it would certainly be icing on the cake if we can give him an opportunity to play.
Well, you think you want him to get his first live football reps here rather than, let's say, late October at Alton Stadium when you go out to Oregon, right?
That's suboptimal.
Right,
yeah.
you want that.
By the way, got a 100-yard rusher tonight, Caden Fagan. Just tacked on a little more, so he's going to be in the neighborhood of what, 107 now, thereabouts?
And they'll let Jordan Anderson come spot him. Jordan Anderson, recruit they got out of Joliet Catholic. He runs at about 240, weight-wise, so it's very similar build. I won't be surprised if they got Leary a couple throws just to break the ice, even though they're up 45 points.
That was a 3rd and short that was converted. And Jordan Anderson, to your point, at Joliet Catholic, had 31 touchdowns as a senior and over 1,540 rushing yards. There's Leary getting a throw. Incomplete for Malik Elzy, who caught a touchdown pass in the first half.
Yeah, he overshot him a little bit there. Elzy will want that one back because he could have caught that. Leary has just a cannon for an arm. Has been an understudy here the last couple of years, and this is his first live action. But Barry Lunney has a lot of confidence in him. Barry Lunney's a great tutor of quarterbacks, has developed them everywhere he's gone.
Leary's first collegiate throw and incompletion. Now on 2nd down and 10, here's Jordan Anderson. He's on the stat sheet with a 2-yard run on 2nd down. The aforementioned sophomore from Joliet Catholic in Naperville. At whatever level, when you put the 31 rushing touchdowns in a season in high school, that's impressive. And speaking of impressive, officially 108 on the ground for Caden Fagan, 16 totes, 1 touchdown.
Talk about playing at a different level at Woodhammond High School, 1A, 2A school in Illinois. And Fagan, I think, ran quarterback there on the Wildcat and just dominated everybody. Can you imagine that guy at a 1A school?
Fagan had a touchdown run, and the first time they thought he was in, it was taken away on an instant replay situation. And then the follow-up from about a half yard out, Fagan ran it in here earlier in the second half. Leary with an incompletion there on 3rd and long. We haven't seen a lot of Hugh Robertson tonight, but we will here. Punt with just over 10 minutes left in the game. And a fair catch. Just outside the 15-yard line by Cooper Willman. Big night for the Fighting Illini. There's such incredible history in the Big Ten Conference. And there's writing new chapters. You go back to the 10, of course, that we know from 1950. Big move in 1990 when Penn State came out of the independent ranks to join the conference. Nebraska in 2011, Rutgers and Maryland in 2014, and now the expansion westward. Washington, Oregon, UCLA, and USC officially joining in August. And now their first football season. The debut's coming for Oregon and Washington on BTN Saturday.
You can literally watch, BTN tailgate in the morning and in the pregame show. You watch the 11 o'clock, the 2:30, the 6:30 game. Now we got an 8-9 Central game. I mean, you can literally be on your couch all day and watch Big Ten football. You just can't beat it in the fall.
Well, such great leadership with the conference. Kevin Warren, the previous commissioner, now Tony Petitti, the commissioner. Bad throw out of bounds here by Pierce Hawley. Terrence Brooks, who almost had an interception on the last drive, was on the coverage of Cooper Willman. There's Jaheim Clark. Clark getting some time tonight, sophomore from Fort Myers, Florida. Some really good depth in the cornerback room. Torrey Cox Jr. Xavier Scott.
Caleb Patterson.
He started tonight. Now Brooks and Clark playing. Maybe we'll see a little Chase Canada before the night is over. Here's a slant route. That's a good throw by Pierce Hawley. He obviously hasn't had the night that he would have hoped. But you saw him hit C.J. Nelson, transfer from the University of Houston. This is the schedule this year for Illinois, Jay. And as you peruse all up and down, look, the game that matters most is the next game.
Right.
Now, nobody's going to have a short week. Kansas and Illinois are both on level terms in that regard because KU played tonight. The Jayhawks, they thrashed Lindenwood at their game. So both played a Thursday night game, an extra day and a half, if you will, to prepare for that game next week.
Well, that one's got to be circled as we see Holly throw it out of bounds for the Illini. They went out to Lawrence, and it was difficult last year. Lance Leipold put a number on this Illinois defense, had 19 plays of 15 yards or more. It was astounding how they were able to move the football on them, and they just were never really in that football game. Can it be different this time, September 17th? In the middle of the schedule, it gets really difficult, right? You've got Michigan and Oregon in, successive weeks. You got to go out to Outson for the first time, and you finish up with Michigan State, Rutgers, and your rival Northwestern.
And obviously a bitter defeat at the hands of Northwestern last year, 45-43. Before it's all said and done, obviously Illinois will be in close games again, and that's an element of 2024. It's not like they were bad in close games last year. They just had so many and two ill-timed losses in close games at the end of the season. They were 5-3, though, in one-score games last year.
And the turnovers in a close game and that margin will make the difference. If they can flip that, like we said, they struggled in the turnover margin last year. If they can flip that, they can win some of those close games.
Here's a third down play for Eastern Illinois. Pierce Hawley put some air under this pass. Too much. Way too much. Over the head of Anthony Manaves, the tight end who was the closest receiver in the vicinity. Eastern Illinois is perhaps headed towards a third straight shutout at the hands of a Big Ten team. 41-0 to Northwestern in 2015, 52-0 against Indiana in 2019, and down 45-0 with 8:13 to go. Illinois 18-0 all-time against FCS schools. Eastern 0-14 all-time against power conference teams. 0-9 against Big Ten teams. They do have some FBS wins, 6. 5 of them against MAC opponents and 1 against San Diego State. Malik Elzy, he's got a touchdown tonight. A lot to celebrate in this season opener for the Illini.
45-point Illinois lead here in the fourth quarter. One of the connections between these two teams, Eastern Illinois head coach Chris Wilkerson used to coach with Illinois offensive coordinator Barry Lunney Jr. The duo were both assistants at San Jose State back in 2003-2004. They became so close, in fact, that Lunney and his wife are the godparents of Wilkerson's oldest son, Peyton. Coach Wilkerson and Lunney Jr. described each other as some of the best humans they know. They were pretty much on par with what one said about the other. They said through the years they've stayed in touch, watched each other's teams. Another thing of note, Coach Wilkerson says he usually makes a drive up for Illinois summer camp, and with a laugh he said Lunney Jr. told him, maybe not this year, given our season openers.
Well, great photos. Chris Wilkerson's wife, Sharna, Barry Lunney Jr.'s wife, Janelle. And just an incredible connection between those two families. And They cross paths tonight on the football field, and obviously outside of tonight, Eastern Illinois roots for Illinois for the remainder of their games, and the feeling is mutual in the other direction.
Well, it just shows you the different paths you can take. I mean, from San Jose State, Chris Wilkerson goes on to become the head coach of University of Chicago. Barry Lunny goes back to coach high school football with his dad, a great Hall of Fame coach in Arkansas.
Bentonville, Arkansas.
And then he goes in, they get back, and Lunny gets back into college coaching. And, I know that him and Janelle, take it very seriously, that they're godparents of Sharna and Chris Wilkerson's kids. So it's just great, the connections of football.
Chris Wilkerson, they won 8 games last year. They'd won 8 in the previous 5 seasons. The last of those previous 5 seasons was Wilkerson's first back at his alma mater as the head coach. So they went from 2 wins to 8 wins. And by the way, one of the things that Barry Lunny noted yesterday is that, you can see the fiber of what Chris Wilkerson is all about as a person and the way that his team plays football.
He said he sees Chris Wilkerson in that defense all over the place. His footprints were over, his handprints were all over it. That's a guy, Barry Lunny Jr., who's poised to have a very, very big year this year.
Yeah.
Has the starting quarterback. They've got the offensive line issues fixed. He brought in Justin Stepp from South Carolina to coach up the receivers. And Brett Bielema's got to be very happy with that hire that he did 3 years ago to bring Barry Lunny here. And the offense is starting to reap the benefits of it. Now with Donovan Leary as well, showing off his arm.
Donovan Leary, his second series at quarterback, handing the ball off. So as you look to the sideline and see Barry Lunny Jr., just a reminder, look, there was a lot of effective things that happened in the pass game last year. Their most passing touchdowns since 2014, most yards a game in the air since 2013, and most yards per attempt, a very good indication of quarterback play since 2008.
It's an interesting marriage between Lunny and Brett Bielema, because Brett loves to run the football, but Lunny loves to throw the football as a former quarterback, but they want to play complementary football, and Barry does a tremendous job of that, keeping the defense guessing on downs, distances, different situations, on when they're going to run, when they're going to throw.
Khalil Valentine getting a chance to run the ball here in the fourth quarter. And that's an exciting freshman from Chandler, Arizona. Over the last 2 years of high school, he ran for nearly 2,700 yards and 37 touchdowns.
And Brett's seen a lot of running backs, and he said, I'm excited about number 5.
Yes.
He said, I think this guy can be special. Yeah, obviously, he's got some guys in front of him, and Aiden Lawfrey and Caden Fagan, and Josh McCray, Jordan Anderson. They got so thin at running back last year. I think Coach Bielema said, I never want that to happen again. And they definitely got the depth figured out at running back this year.
A lot of depth at running back and a lot of depth at wide receiver as well. If you look at the number of players who've been targeted and caught passes, and add another name to that list, this is Carson Goda, a transfer tight end from Division II St. Anselm in New Hampshire, where he caught 122 passes, including 12 touchdowns, over 1,400 receiving yards. Look, they were really high on Cole Rusk, a transfer J, an All-American at Murray State, and he hurt his knee in fall camp, season-ending knee injury. Carson Goda's got a chance, though, to have some targets as part of the tight end game.
He's got great ball skills. He doesn't have to be the inline tight end like Tanner Arkin or Henry Boyer. He's got the skill. I like what I'm seeing from Donovan Leary. Quick release, and you can see the arm strength into the boundary there. Threw it on a dart to Goda.
And now Jordan Anderson running the ball. So Donovan Leary has 2 completions now in his first collegiate action. Khalil Valentine has some runs. Jordan Anderson now, again, with some runs here in the fourth quarter. He had one earlier in the fourth quarter as well. There's Luke Altmaier, who was sensational tonight, especially deep balls in the first half.
Great accuracy on the deep ball. He took care of the football. No turnovers for the Illini, and no significant injuries that we know of. That's so big when it comes to a team like Illinois, who may not have the depth of some of the upper echelon teams of the Big Ten, so you got to really stay healthy at the positions that you need. You see Isaiah Williams right there back in town, fresh off making the Lions roster.
And here's a bobble by Hank Beatty, ultimately ruled to be an incomplete pass here.
Well, he fought for that catch, though. Hank Beatty out of Rochester, Gatorade Player of the Year a couple years back in the state of Illinois. Rochester, such a proud program in Illinois. Same program as Wes Lunt, former Illinois quarterback. They've had a lot of studs out there. You see Isaiah Williams right there. So I'm going to make a visit here before I have 17 straight weeks of playing football with the Detroit Lions.
By the way, Hank Beatty, 15 catches over the last 2 years. Did not make the catch on that last pass on second down. A lot of, even with Isaiah Williams, who you just saw, and Casey Washington gone. So let's see who's caught passes tonight. Pat Bryant, Tanner Arkin, Carson Goda, Kenari Wilcher, Ashton Hollins, Zachary Franklin, Malik Elzy, Hank Beatty. They've thrown the ball to Lawfrey out of the backfield. Josh McCray's caught a pass tonight as well. So they have they spread the wealth in the passing game tonight, to the point about depth at receiver.
Equal opportunity pass throwers. I don't know how to say equal opportunity employee, but as we approach the 2-minute timeout, Altmaier chatting with Isaiah Williams.
2-minute timeout, Illinois the ball, and a 45-point lead here late in the game.
Dave Revson, Howard Griffith with you. The Illini looking the part here in the opener, doing exactly what they should have done.
Did everything they needed to do from an offensive standpoint. You look at it from a defensive standpoint, coming up with turnovers. They played a very clean game tonight.
Been fabulous so far from the Illini, obviously going to 1-0 on the year. We'll have highlights of this one coming up on the big show, going down to the wire in Minneapolis as well. Get you updated on that one. Show you how Rutgers fared. All of that ahead. But for now, we send it back to the guys in Champaign.
That's about to be 26 out of 27 home openers won here for Illinois. Those remaining till the end enjoying themselves tonight. 45-0 lead for the Illini. They do have to punt here out of the 2-minute timeout at the end of the game. So Eastern Illinois will have one last chance on offense, trying to avoid being shut out by a Big Ten team for the third straight time. Fair catch inside the 10-yard line for Cooper Willman with 1:53 left in the game. Now remember that another new wrinkle to college football this year, in addition to helmet communication and 2-minute timeouts, those things pale in comparison, Jay Lehman, to the 12-team playoff. This is the format: 5 highest-ranked conference champs, 7 highest-ranked non-champions at large, 4 highest-ranked conference champs with a bye. Remaining teams seeded 5 to 12. Campus sites for those games, by the way.
It's just interesting to me because it kind of got the flavor of, okay, Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, Alabama, Clemson back in the day, maybe and now you have a whole other set of teams. Penn State might be in there, USC might be in there, Oregon might be in there. Illinois 2 years ago had an outside shot to make it if they finished strong, right? Wisconsin for many years has been a 10-win team. Would they make it?
From a Big Ten perspective, no team would have benefited more from an earlier introduction of the 12-team playoff than Penn State would have.
Yeah, well, think about Penn State. Think about some of those Wisconsin teams that Paul Chryst had as well. Brett Bielema had some teams that were top 10 at Wisconsin as well. As he went to 3 straight Rose Bowls from 2010 to 2012.
On the playoff side of things for Eastern Illinois, of course, they were just outside the 24-team FCS playoff field last year. That's the goal for them this season. They have a game against Indiana State next week. They play at Northwestern. After that, they're playing 2 Big Ten opponents. They've got a rivalry game that they play at Illinois State. They don't leave the state of Illinois until they play a game at Tennessee State in conference in the Big South Ohio Valley Football Association on October the 12th. And that's their goal, is to get into their own FCS playoff after just being on the outside looking in last year.
Well, they got the right guy in Chris Wilkerson. He's a guy that, you know, lives and breathes Panther football and is the right guy for that job and building that program up. They've had success there. Dino Babers came there with Jimmy Garoppolo's. Jaheim Clark with breakup there, getting some good time for the backups now.
incredible balance in this game from a statistical standpoint for the Illini tonight. They run for 244, they pass for 242. And they're on defense here, a defense that's forced 4 turnovers as they wind down towards the end of the game. A second down play for Eastern Illinois. We'll see how many snaps are left in this one with 49 seconds left. Pierce Holly had an excellent season last year. He'll have better days this season as he leads the Panthers, but it was a difficult night for him. A couple of turnovers, one just outside the 20, one inside the 20 in the red zone. Undercut any real opportunity for Eastern Illinois to establish a beachhead in this game tonight.
And credit Illinois of taking advantage of the turnovers and capitalizing with points off of each turnover that really turned this game on its head early on.
Well, that was a big part of the success, an important ingredient in 2022 to turn the ball over and to take advantage. And that ingredient served them well in the recipe tonight. 45-0. It's gone final. The biggest shutout win for the Illini since October of 1973.
Wow, 51 years against Iowa Hawkeyes.
Wow.
Impressive.
Brett Bielema now 19-19 in 3 seasons and 1 game as the head coach of the Illini. 116 wins between his time as a head coach with Wisconsin, Arkansas, and now into season number 4 at Illinois. And they'll look at some good things on the tape. They'll obviously discuss some areas of improvement in a big game with the Kansas Jayhawks for the Big 12 next week.
Yeah, 9 days to get ready for that. That's going to be a night game at 6 p.m. on FS1. Tune in for that. There could be a lot of scoring in that game, Mark. Lance Leipold always has explosive offenses. Barry Lunny probably has his best offense he's had here at Illinois as far as from a personnel perspective. And they got weapons, a running back and receiver that we saw can change a game in an instant.
Well, we'll see if Aaron Henry's defense can force the turnovers in that particular game that they did tonight. And for more on Illinois' performance, Kylan Mills with Brett Bielema.
Coach, you talk about complimentary football. Your team rushed for more than 240 yards and had more than 240 yards in the air. What did you like most about the offensive production?
I like the balance. I think anytime you can put those numbers together, the 200-200 combo, you win a lot of games. Give a lot of credit to Chris and his crew. I think that's a really good football team that obviously got overwhelmed a little bit today, but I like the way our guys handled it. Came out of it pretty healthy. See where we go. We got Kansas coming to town.
Your defense forced 4 turnovers and earned the shutout. How did that group set the tone?
They've been working on it. They've been, I give credit to Aaron and the defensive staff going back to last spring. Talked and preached about turnovers. They work on it every day, and they realized out there today, Dylan Rosiak, classic there at the end, knocking that ball out. Really good stuff.
Coach, I noticed in the third quarter you really got on your linebackers about an offside call. Why is it so important for you, even in a lopsided game like this, that you really set the tone on those types of things?
Well, everything is supposed to be perfect, right? And we actually gave them 2 first downs by being offsides, and we just can't play winning football against good competition doing that. So teachable moments come whenever they can, and you got to be able to do that.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Hey, if you're in it to win